Hello friend. Season
4.
The Mystical American Patriots Society is transmitting to you from a high desert encampment on the frontier of our agrarian hoplite republic. This is a variety program for happy warriors who are getting some seriously bad vibes from the deranged post-Christian technocracy. Grab a tankard of yak's milk and join us by the campfire as Sumo and Cavi return to shake your surveillance, expel your parasites, and generally have a good time. Are you ready? Stand by.
Mystical American Patriots Society, now available in 3 dimensions.
Someone arrived today. They said they're taking you away. Then I cannot mind to save. And soon I won't get to see your face. So I came by to say, you're unlike anyone I have ever known. 'Cause you're all I've ever known. And if I pushed you, if I came on too strong, and if I ambushed you, for that I'll say I was wrong. And if you hate me, I am sorry, my love's too much for you. But I'm not sorry for loving you. I'm not sorry for loving you. I spent my whole life here, was cast away when I was young, alone for 100 years. No friend beside the sea and sun. So when you washed ashore, I thought for sure you were my dream come true. I thought I knew. And if I pushed you, or if I came on too strong, and if I ambushed you, for that I'll say I was wrong. And if you hate I am sorry, my love's too much for you. But I'm not sorry for loving you. I'm not sorry for loving you. And I'm not sorry for loving you, dear listener. I'm not. I'm really not. I'm sorry. I am frustrated because that took an insane amount of takes. You have no idea the complicated. You would think, one would imagine, one would hope, one would in their wildest dreams believe that in the year of our Lord 2026, technology would work to the point where you could hit record and a recording would happen. But alas, that is not true. Sometimes, oftentimes, many times, you hit record and something else happens. The computer explodes, all the wires melt, the string breaks on your ukulele. It doesn't, I don't know. I don't know what happens. It's just like, you would hope that in the year of our Lord you could press print and the thing would print, but it doesn't print. It still says, I don't know, I can't reach the printer. I can't access the printer. I don't know where it is. And maybe that's me. Cavi often says the problems of technology are user problems, which are me. And I don't deny that he might be correct. Because he might be. But still, it's the point of the thing of the technology people is to make it stupid friendly. Is to make it so there's no... I push the record button, it should record, but it doesn't record all the time. Sometimes it doesn't do anything. Sometimes... I hope that at the end of this one it will have a recording. I hope that's true, but I don't know. This is up to the fates. And that song was a song from the musical Epic, which is an epic musical recorded entirely by Zoomers, Generation Z, about the Odyssey, which Frank and Brady clued me into on the show that you will see tailed under. I'm flying solo today because Cavi is out doing cat stuff. I'm not... He said he was going to be away for a while. I don't know what that means. I'm flying solo today, literally, meaning that I'm flying the entire spaceship by myself. Having to work the engine room, the pilot, the whole thing, the mess hall. It's a lot to do. And I used to have AI companion help, but as you saw in the last one, the AI went and became a raging anti-Semite, and we had to delete. It was just the whole thing. It did make good policy points, though, regarding the war in Iran. Other than that, though, and he had a lovely singing voice. Lovely singing voice. I loved his renditions of Alanis Morissette. They're near and dear to my heart, and I will play them forever. We actually played those very songs at his memorial. Me and Cavi had a little memorial for his. It's hard to bury an artificial intelligence because they're just. But we deleted his files with gravitas and proper solemnity, and we played that song while we pressed delete. So, that's not nothing. But anyway, without the AI, all that to say, without the AI, without Cavi here, it's very difficult. I'm having a lot of things to do. That's why the show's a little bit late, this getting out, because a one-man show is slower than a one-man, a cat, and several AI helpers show. That's all. But today I want to talk about a few things before. So I did an interview with Frank and Brady. It was lovely. They're great men, great hosts, great friends, very kind-hearted souls. Beautiful as well, very handsome. I mentioned that in the show. And I'm not just saying that, Ruckus. Ruckus always says that I just sort of gas people up with compliments. That's not true. All that is Ruckus can't believe in his own handsomeness. I know he's got things. He's got things, but still, he does not. Everyone needs to help Ruckus get better self-confidence. If you know Ruckus, if you're part of the alternate current radio family, message him today and say, "We love you, Ruckus. We love you, and you are a wonderful addition to our family." That's what you should say to him. Anyway, but I want to talk about before we get into the show with Frank and Brady. We have another show in front of it, which is this show, which is a small show because, as I said, it's just me. But there are some things on my mind that need to be discussed. They need to be discussed. And I'm going to check again just to make sure the recording light is on. It's still on. If it doesn't record, it's not my fault. It's Silicon Valley's fault at this point. It's still on. Okay, so we're going to talk about mind control a little bit. And also... I hate to keep going back here. I have to talk you guys out of some... Okay, let's first go to... It's Easter. It's still Easter in Orthodox... When we're recording this, Easter happened for most people, but there's still Orthodox Easter to happen, so it still counts. And here's the thing, guys. In no scenario, this is the problem. In no scenario can you get 3 days and 3 nights, which is what Christ said, out of Friday to Sunday. Out of Friday evening to Sunday, basically sunrise morning, is at best a day and a half. And this is, everyone says, they call this 3 days. It's not 3 days. Okay? If that is the timetable, Christ was not dead 3 days. Because you say, and and when you bring this up to people, and don't worry, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix it for you because I know people get antsy when I do this, but I'm going to fix it for you for the end. Just keep listening. When you do this to people, they say, "Oh well," they do the standard thing that proves that everyone does when they're being mind controlled. Is they start coming up with nonsense reasons for why the thing that is blatantly untrue is actually true, right? Because if he was killed Friday 3 o'clock, so Friday afternoon, Sunday morning, you got a whole day, like less than half of one and like a quarter of another one. So you got at best 1.75 days, at best. Okay, that's your best scenario, and you can't do that now. People will say they'll say they have 2 or 3 different copes they do with this, all of which are evidence of mind control. Number 1 is they say, Sumo, you big dummy, you Sumo dummy. Listen, here's the thing that happened. What it is, see, the people count. It's okay if people count part of a day as a day. When you say like, hey, I was out all day, at work or whatever, you don't mean a full 24-hour period in most cases. And yes, that's true. However, if I was to say, and they'll bring up things in the Bible like this, like Paul talks about, he was lost at sea for so many days and nights or whatever. Okay. But if I said I worked 3 days and 3 nights. 3 days and 3 nights. And then you said to me, really? And I said, yeah. And that must have been, you must be really tired. Well, not really. I mean, I didn't start till, like, there was Friday night and then Saturday, but I didn't, I'm counting Sunday morning as a third night. Right? There's no 3 nights. You could say it touched 3 24-hour periods. It touched Friday, and it touched Saturday, and it was involved in Sunday. But there's no 3 nights in there. And Christ explicitly says 3 nights. Friday night, Saturday night, and then there's nothing. Okay? That's the first sort of, they do this thing. And then they say this other thing. They say, well, Jews count days different. Jews just have a completely foreign, different thing of days. And there is one aspect of that which is true, is that they seem to have counted the start of a day from sundown rather than sunrise, which is fine. Still doesn't work, though. It still doesn't work. You still get 2 nights. They didn't call day night. It wasn't like, oh yeah, and they called midnight. What we called midnight was their sunrise. And they called that daytime. And so you have 3 nights because you had Friday evening, which was night, and Sunday and Saturday afternoon, which is Jewish night, and then Sunday morning, which is like really night. It doesn't make any sense. You don't get out of it in any way. You cannot get 3 days and 3 nights in what is essentially not 48 hours. It's not even close to 48. It's maybe 36 hours-ish. Okay? So what obviously has happened, if you were to take this crucifixion story as read, which I do, is, and by the way, the whole Good Friday thing doesn't seem to start. We don't have really very good records for it that I can find. Maybe someone else can, before like the 400s. So what seems like to me happened is they said, look, let's commemorate this event. And let's do it, everyone, we'll do it flows better if we go boom, boom, boom. If we go boom, boom, boom. In reality, he was killed on a Thursday. He was probably crucified on a Good Thursday. And then he was in the ground Thursday night Friday night, and Saturday. And then you got 3 nights and 3 days. And it works. Because you're not going crazy trying to redefine words and pretending that one group of people has a completely different concept of daylight and time. Because that you just make up out of whole cloth. All right, that works. And how could that work? Well, there is, people say, the only rebuttal to this is 1, tradition, and 2, they talk about the Sabbath. But during holy days like Passover, it's well established that there was regular Sabbath and then a high Sabbath in the festival season. So you could just say he was crucified and then he was raised on the high Sabbath, which would be you'd have a Sabbath and then another day considered a Sabbath because it's the whole Passover time. There's extra holy days inside of it. That's what seems to have happened. That's the only thing that really makes sense. But people say, well, the church couldn't be, all of Christians couldn't be wrong but of course they could be. And what I think, this is the same thing as being like, oh, well, Jesus probably wasn't born on December 25th. But it's okay to celebrate at that time because you need a time to celebrate it. And it's perfectly okay to be like, we're going to celebrate the death and resurrection of Jesus on this Friday to Saturday, Sunday thing. And not drag it out over, more days. That's fine. It makes sense. You don't have to. It doesn't have to line up. You can celebrate your birthday on not your birthday. You can mourn someone's death on not the exact anniversary of their death if it's more convenient for everybody in the calendar. It's just probably what they did when they were setting up the calendars. And then people just lived 100 years past when they set it up, and no one wrote down why they did it that way. And the people are like, well, this is the day, and then that carries on for thousands of years till today. You have someone going, well, Jews thought the sun was the moon or something insane, right? Jews reckon the days are so different in Judaism that the 36 hours is 3 days and 3 nights. Don't you get it, Sumo, you dummy? And this is this happens all the time. This is mind control at its most basic, which is that it's like it's the 4 lights problem in Star Trek. You look at see these lights, say there are 5 when there's actually 4. Just say it. It catches you every time. Everything is still. Everything is still. Oh, but no, you're flying through. You're moving so fast. So fast. Billions of miles an hour. Call no man father. That means call everybody father. Call millions of men father. All of it. That guy's a father, and that call no man father means obviously call him and 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 that guy 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 father. That's what that means. See? This happens everywhere. It happens over and over and over again. And that's what mind control is, which is what I try to, this is why you have to break authority, the idea and concept of authority, because when you see yourself begin to turn tumbleweeds with your somersault tumbleweeds, in your mind to justify what is plainly contradictory, because you feel like you have to in deference to some outside authority, whether that be church tradition, a pope, the president, the FDA, the World Health Organization, the Bible, the pastor, whatever it is, you have to say, I must stop now. I'm a danger to myself and others, and I must stop. That's what you have to say to yourself. That's what you have to say to yourself. Because if you don't know, if you're the sort of person that goes, well, 36 hours is 3 days and 3 nights, and call no man father means call everybody father, and everything not moving means that it's moving, and all this stuff, you go on and on and on, and it happens, endlessly. With what should we say? With the pokes in the arm. I'm trying to avoid. There's certain algorithmic words that you say that used to get you downlisted, and I'm trying to avoid them. Let's just say the mid vaccinations, people were like, oh yeah, well, you got sick because it saved you. And see, because you got sick means it's working. And all the time. This is what you have to be broken free from. That's what I've tried to break you free from. Okay, now here's the problem with that. Is some of you people have not yet learned. Some of you people should still be in chains. I've broken free some people from mind control that need the mind control, and I don't know how to rectify that. I'm sorry. Okay? We have people in our retinue, which have maybe, perhaps, kind of fallen down rabbit holes of insanity regarding specifically the Jews. Okay. And I want to try and pull you out of that rabbit hole. Or if not, I hope that the Jews do control everything because you need to be in a little box. You need to be in a little box and not let out again. Not let out again. You need to be in a little box where you can just you can type on a computer and you can scream into the ether about Noahide laws and the Talmud and Jefferson or something, and just that's where you need to be, a little containment unit. You need to be in a containment unit because a lot of you people. So I think the people listening to this will know who. I'm not going to mention everyone by name, but a lot of you people. Here's what it's like. All right, imagine I'm say me, and over here is me over here, and over here is Smokestack or anybody else really. A beautiful woman, the president of the United States. It doesn't matter. Hi, how are you doing today? Oh, I'm lovely. Thank you for asking. What is on your mind? I thought I would talk about all the lovely things that are happening today and bring some positivity in the world. I would love that. I was just meditating on the blueness of the sky and how great everything is. And then the other person comes up to me and goes, hey guys, here's a fact I know about Jews. And you go, or they just go, hey guys, here's a fact. I want to talk about a fact I know. Like, no matter what the conversation is, there's someone that comes up behind and goes, hey, listen to this fact that I know. And then the two of us are going, it's not going to be. He couldn't possibly make this also about Jews, could he? I don't see how it would be possible to make us talking about the blue sky about Jews. I know, but he did it about spaghetti. Somehow he turned spaghetti into the Jews. I'm worried that he's going to turn... If a spaghetti could be a Jewish plot, so can the sky. They do have chemtrails to fall back on. That surely no. He's going to do it. No, don't do it. And then he comes in and says, the Jews say... And then you just go, oh, God. Oh, God in heaven, save us from this insane person who can speak of nothing but Jews. And the irony is that the people who believe they are controlled by the Jews are controlled by the Jews because they think about it all the time. It's the only thing running through their mind. It is the filter, the lens through which they see all of creation. In their heads, Jewish people are the main everything. And they are here's the problem. If, as some of the people insinuated, Jews are, and I will never ban you people or anything like that. Okay, I'm not mad at you, and none of this, there's no anger here. You're just, none of that. It's a free speech. I want to help. I want to help. I don't want anyone to feel cast into the outer darkness, okay? You're not cast into the outer darkness. I'm just here to help, okay? Here's the thing. If the Jews are controlling everything in society, all of it, Every action, because they were going like, oh, well, there's homosexualities because the Jews made him do it. And immigration, and the wars, and I can't get a job, and I'm hooked on pornography. It's all the Jews, right? If that's true, then they deserve it, right? They deserve to rule over you because you're very, very, very easily manipulable. Manipulable. You're very easy to manipulate. Shockingly easy to manipulate. Like, imagine this scenario. The same people often think that Europeans are better and the best and descended from Indo-Aryan steppe peoples. Most of you can't ride a horse. Let's be real. Most of you can't ride a horse. But there's Indo-Aryan whatever mythology people groupings. And they're like, but the fatal flaw of the great Aryan, the fatal flaw of the master race, you see, is journalists writing articles. We can't help it. If there's a journalist that says you should like to have gay sex, we go, we have to have gay. That just mind controls everything. Like, if that is the case, you should let in everyone into your country. If one Jewish person doing that, or even a cabal of them doing that, gets you to march in line and lead you around by your shorter nose, your much shorter nose, if you're led around by your much shorter nose because journalists type things on a computer screen, why wouldn't... You're basically making the argument that you're retarded. You're making the argument that you and your people group are so stupid that anyone can control you at all just by the slightest influence. And you have no agency. There's no reason you're doing anything. Everything you do is controlled by the Jews. It's the same argument that some black people make about white people. I can't do it. The white people are making me beat my... Them white people making me beat my kids. Them white people making me beat my kids. Them Jews making me have porn. Them Jews making everybody gay. It's stupid. It's so pathetic. It's become I don't know. It's just really dumb. Okay, now, is every Jew in the world innocent of everything? No, obviously. You have to view the Jews as normal people. If you put them on a pedestal, like Zionists do, like that weird preacher that was like, every Jew in the world is above me, or whatever, or if you put them in a hole, and you say they're like worshiping the devil all the time, then both of those cases actually make them into something of a superhuman that you will inevitably orbit around. Which is what a lot of these people are doing. They're constantly just orbiting around Jews. And that's what they need to do. And if they're going to do that, they need to be in a little box where they can just go in a circle and not run into anybody. But, right, you have to treat them as normal people. Jews are capable of good and evil. They can do both. And this, like, as a collective, to the extent people act as collectives, they can and have done both. Right? That doesn't mean, and here's the problem. Here's another problem. I already mentioned another problem. But here's one problem. If it's what you seek, you find. And people get so mad at me about this. Like, I see that with my own eyes. I know, but that's because that's what you're looking for. I brought up in the chat with people, I said, you're just seeing this because that's what you're looking for. And someone responded, oh, really? Well, is there like Hindus surrounding Trump? No. And I was like, actually, yes. There are more Hindus per capita in the U.S. government establishment right now in positions of power than Jews. Easily. Do you know how many Hindus are in the United States of America? About 1.4%. Do you know how many Jews? 2.1, 2.2. Okay. Here's a list of prominent Hindus, and this isn't exhaustive, by the way. Prominent Hindus that are, let me just check here. I want to make sure about one of them before I say it. Let me see. Let's see. Hold on. Yes. So here's people that are Hindu. In his Vivek Ramaswamy. He was the lead of Doge for a while. Maybe still is. I don't know. Kash Patel, director of the FBI, the Hindu menace. Usha Vance, the vice president's wife, and all their children. There's more Hindus in the White House every day than Jewish people. Every day, little Hindus running around. Tulsi Gabbard. She was appointed to lead national intelligence. Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, I can't pronounce his last name, head of the NIH, the Department of Justice, had Hermit K. Dehalan. I don't know. He was one of the key people in the Department of Justice. On and on. There's so many. 1.4%. That many Hindus. The great Hindu menace. See? Do you see? If you were looking for that, if you got as committed, the problem is you're not committed. If you were as committed to finding Hindu conspiracies as you were to Jewish people, you would find them. And you can do this with anything because he who seeks finds. This is the problem with conspiracy theories and why you need a guide, a loving guide, to help you through them. And you can't do it on your own. And I know I said, don't trust authority. I know, but if you find yourself twisting in a circle screaming about Jews, you should maybe say, I need help. And you need help. So if you're going around biting your own pants legs going, Jews, in a little box, then you need help. Not forever. Not forever. You graduate out of this, I hope. But you need someone to help you through it because do this experiment. You can do it yourself. Do this experiment. No one does the experiment. Pick a conspiracy theory. Anything. Make one up yourself. Make it up yourself. Make it up from scratch. Make it as ridiculous as you like. And then go looking around for evidence for it. Get on the internet and type in turtles came from space. Type in the Chinese people turtle connection. Just type. You will find, guaranteed, if you get committed to the most wildly ridiculous idea you can have, you will find evidence for it. You will find evidence for it because there's an infinite amount of facts in the world. An infinite amount of facts. And you can put them together to make any picture you want. Reality is a connect the dots puzzle with no numbers, just dots. Dots scattered everywhere, and you can draw lines between any of them. That's what a crazy wall is. When you have someone, and he's got all the pictures on the wall tied with red string. Yes, the connections exist. That's the thing. Like, he can say, like, well, this caused this. Like, yeah, that's true. But you can do that about anything, actually. You can do that about anything. In college, I knew a guy that was convinced the U.S. government was being covertly run by the Episcopalians. And he had a very strong case. You know how many presidents are Episcopalian? A lot. You know how many chief justices in the past have been Episcopalian? A lot. Because it was like the main waspy religion for a long time. And that we were being crypto-controlled by the King of England for hundreds of years through this mechanism. And there's probably truth to that. There probably was, like the head of the religion of the thing that most people are probably did have influence on them. Sure. Okay, and yes, absolutely, people's Judaism plays a role in their political decisions. And I would go so far as to say, if you want a Christian government, you should elect people that are Christian and not Jews or Hindus or whatever. If that's what you want, you say, I think we should have a Christian government representing my ethnic group. That's fine. That's what so many people do. Is it racist or whatever? Yes, but does that matter? No, because people. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, and if it's okay for black people to vote for a black guy just because he's black, it's okay for anybody to vote for anybody just because of whatever. Okay. And so if you want, then you should, yes. But although I will say, as a caveat, voting for people that claim to be Christian has not historically worked out very well for getting a Christian government. So, 6-7. This is the point, though. If you have to avoid the mind control, but then you have to not get mind controlled yourself. You can self-hypnotize. People do it all the time. You can hypnotize yourself. And the one of the ways that you know you've hypnotized yourself is if everything becomes one thing. And that thing is not God. If you're orbiting around God, then that's okay. But if everything is everything, and it's not like, or the things that God is, like love and joy and light, if that's what you're orbiting, you're probably on the right direction. If everything is becoming this other thing, and then you're spending your whole life, and everything you do, you're trying to tell people about the thing, you've probably quite overstated it. You've probably gone too far. And people say to me, like, oh, well, but what about the war in the... You do not know... If, let's say that you got that some of the people got their idea, their way of what they think would make the world better, and that every Jewish person in the USA has no more ability to be in any position of power, and they have to wear a yellow star or whatever. Okay, and maybe they'll all go to Israel. Okay, do you think honestly, that all the white people in America are going to go, you know what? I just realized that I don't like homosexuality. Golly gee willikers. No, it's just not true that they are the driving force behind every idea that happens. Okay? It's not true. Or they would be like, you know what? Now that all the Jews are gone, the mind force field is dissipated, and I think that we need a white homeland. That's not what most white people would do. It's just not. It just isn't. And in fact, the Nick Fuentes everything is Jews thing is very, very brown coded. Just there's so many Mexicans in that group. Fuentes himself, and the most white group in the world, like, don't think anything about that at all. So just relax. Go to a local synagogue and sit down and meet everybody. I've gone to the local synagogue. They were very nice. There are some issues with Judaism I have personally, but everyone was very nice. I don't like wearing a yarmulke. It feels silly because it doesn't cover your head. It's like, why are we wearing a hat? Whatever. It was fine. Go to your local synagogue. Say hello. Shake their hand. Say, hey, I would, just get to know them. It will, a lot of this, you'll see, like everybody else, you'll meet people in the Jewish community, which are so dysfunctional. The idea that they're controlling the world is ludicrous. The Jews barely control Israel. Barely. It's a constant shit show. Israel is constantly on the verge of disaster. Constantly. Okay? They can barely control that. They can't even build a temple. They would like to have a temple, some of them. They can't even, one, agree enough of them to do it on how it should be done, and two, overcome the political pressure of getting rid of the mosque there in their own country. And yet somehow they're controlling the minds of the entire world outside of that. That doesn't mean that there isn't, like, that Mossad doesn't try to do things. Of course it tries to do things. It's an intelligence agency. It tries to do things. Of course. But the idea that they're running everything and then all the problems, and if they... just don't be the guy that's like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, did you hear about... Don't be that guy, okay? It's just too much. You're in the wrong headspace. Which is partly why I'm going to start selling these helmets to people. This is, you know how people used to wear aluminum foil in their hats? This is like that times 1,000. These rings filter out a lot of circular reasoning. These rings filter out they trap the circles, see, in the ring itself, and then it doesn't get in your brain, and you don't get in these loops. You don't get in caustic mind loops, among other things. It also orients you to heaven. It's all this great stuff. High technology in here. Maybe I'll start selling them. What could it possibly go for? $15,000 a pair, maybe a helmet. That seems fair for what it provides, all the benefits. But all that to say, calm down. Because here's the thing: that song I sang to you at the beginning. And if I hurt you, if I came on too strong, and if I ambushed you, then I'll say I was wrong. And if you hate me, then I am sorry, my love's too much for you. But I'm not sorry for loving you. I'm not sorry for loving you. That song. So the Odyssey in pagan societies. This is the, and you know the interesting thing about this musical. I listened to the whole thing since Frank and Brady told me about it. The interesting thing about this musical is that it does embody and put forward the Greek pagan mindset, which is interesting. A lot of people would try to change it up for modern sensibilities, but the writers of this musical do not. And they come up and they say, there's various things. A central premise to the musical is this idea, ruthlessness, being like vengeful and angry and... Oh, sorry, I have a phone call here in space. It's rowdy. It's very confusing. But a lot of people say, they go, hey, now my turn. Oh, they will try to like make it like, fit it for a modern audience. Because the tension in the musical is between ruthlessness, and there's this great song, ruthlessness is mercy unto ourselves. And Odysseus is wrestling with, if he killed the Cyclops, then Poseidon wouldn't have learned from the Cyclops about that he's the one that blinded him, and Cyclops turned out to be Poseidon's son. So if he just been ruthless and killed him, Poseidon wouldn't be seeking vengeance against him, and all these other things. And one of his shipmates who has the position of, this life is amazing if you greet it with open arms. And so it's just like this love versus ruthlessness narrative and struggle. And in the end, Odysseus sides with ruthlessness, as he kind of does in the story. So it's fair. The very last scene of the Odyssey is him killing all the suitors mercilessly that are after his wife. But so it's faithful to that. But there's a song before that, in very last song, where he's meeting with Athena, and they're discussing everything that's happened. And Athena says, you know what, I started this believing with the rest of the gods that ruthlessness was the only way, but you did show me that perhaps there is a space for kindness and mercy. And Odysseus says, yes, but if that world exists, it's beyond my lifetime. Maybe you can succeed in creating it because you live forever. And that's the Christian idea, is that we have done that. That world is now possible. That bridge has been crossed, right? And so this idea that it is a war of all against all, or as one of the people that was speaking of this said, you have to use their tactics against you. That's not true. That is one of the lies that you tell yourself that Satan. I don't know who's telling you. One of the things this $10,000, $15,000 helmet would protect you from, but the thing you fear is not going to happen unless you make it happen yourself. You're not going to be a Noahide Jew slave. Unless you want. I would argue that the people going in circles about the Jews are already a Noahide Jew slave. 100%. They're just always, they're in there going, Meh. One of them even said, I feel like when I listen to old black spirituals, I identify more with them than I do anyone. It's like, yeah, you do, because you've already made yourself. I don't feel like that. I don't know. I'm completely free. We live in the same America. And you say, how is that possible? That one of them, and you go, well, you're not being realistic. That's why you're living in delusion. But by realistic, everyone always means, except that the worst thing is the worst version of things is truth. That's all a realistic means. Realistic means, except that the worst thing is true. That's being realistic. But it's not being realistic. Right? It's not being realistic in the slightest. What's real is the blue sky. And the fact that we're all here somehow against every single odd. Right? Think of everything that had to go right from the dawn of time to now for you to be here, and it's astronomical. Every time famine was just escaped, every time someone escaped from the war, every time the breast ran dry of milk and somehow they made it work, every time the crops came in, disease and the hunger and running away from wildebeests and all of it. And somehow you got here against everything, against Newton's second law of thermodynamics, right? And then you say, or be realistic. The most unrealistic thing possible is that you and I are here and that there are people to love, right? And if you stick with that, you're going to get through this. Don't get stuck in your little box. With that, everyone, please enjoy this wonderful interview that they did of me. I was the interviewee, and they were the interviewers of the Frank and Brady show. We talked for a good long time. I think this episode with this intro is going to be a minute long here. By minute, I mean a long time. But, I'm going to write let's just do a little intro for them. It's the Frank and Brady show. Everywhere you go, look high and you'll look low. The Frank and Brady show. Until next time, everyone. God love you. I love you. I hope everyone gets better. Buy a helmet. I'm going to have them coming out. Pre-order. I tell you what, I'll do them with pre-orders. They'll be on the website. If you want a helmet that protects you, asterisk, I have to have a disclaimer. No scientific basis for this. No evidence that this is true. Whatever. All that. That protects you, with that disclaimer, from mind control devices. Pre-order it, and I'll make it because there's a lot to make if people don't buy it. But it's $10,000 if you buy now. If you wait till next month, the price goes up to $15,000. So get online, spend $10,000, and buy the helmet, and I will make it to you and we'll ship it. Okay? But other than that, please act fast. They're going soon. Until next time, everyone. Sumo out.
Welcome to the Frank and Brady Show. I'm Frank, your host. With me today is my co-host, Brady Pushka. We are doing episode 23. There is no Antimemetics Division. You should probably listen to this all the way through, because if you don't, you might forget, parts of it. You might have to listen to it several times, actually. So yeah, this is a fun book. With us is a special
Feels
guest.
just like the first time.
Yeah. With us is a special guest with his ukulele, Yoshi. So, Yoshi.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? This is Sumo from the Mystical American Patriot Society, the world's foremost advanced outpost in unhinged epistemology, and the world's first digital micronation. How is everyone doing today? I have to say, Frank and Brady, I know I'm on alternate current radio. We're on alternate current radio a little bit, and Ruckus on there always says that I just compliment people unnecessarily.
Yeah.
But that's not true. I always do try to, you compliment question. That's how you interact with people when you interview with someone. You say a compliment and then another compliment, and then you ask your question. That's just basic interviewing politeness.
Yeah.
But that said, you two are both genuinely handsome fellows. I'm not just blowing smoke here. It was not. I mean, I wasn't I think Brady has a profile picture of himself.
I do.
Yeah.
But Frank is like someone with a cowboy or something.
Yeah, I hide behind Brad Pitt, PFP.
Yeah. So I didn't know what Frank would look like, and you never know.
Yeah.
When you sign on these things, sometimes people look like gargoyles, But both of you are quite the handsome men, ladies. I think both of you are taken. So
We are married.
Yeah.
Not to each other.
Thank
Well,
God.
you're also podcast married. If you guys go for a few more, you're going to be podcast married, which is a legally recognized thing.
Yeah.
Do we get tax pennies?
Gabby and I are now podcast married. It's like common law marriage. Smokestack and I were podcast married, but then there was the divorce because he died. But you got to be careful. There, like, if you guys break up, there is a lot of like legal things that happen after if you keep going for too many more episodes.
Yeah.
You said 23?
We're at 23.
23.
Yeah. When does it become official? 25?
No, I think it is 37. Which you still have a ways off. But I think at 37 you become officially podcast married if you haven't applied for a license at the courthouse.
Nice.
Got such a long
We'll have to
way
pick a special
go.
app.
Yeah. Because me and Cavi had a very subdued ceremony. It was just very, we both wore suits.
Just friends and family.
Just friends and family. I kept it very traditional. We exchanged earbuds. But
It's a disease vector, man.
it is a disease vector. I don't like earbuds. I don't really. Smokestack was always getting on to me. He's like, you should have headphones. You should have headphones. That way I don't constantly hear feedback. And I said, I can't do that,
Yeah, I can't do it either. You hear like...
I must live in a certain way.
Yeah, you hear yourself.
I know.
Yeah, I can't do it. I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah. So tell me about, before we get going, what made you two want to do a podcast and why together? Not that I'm saying it's bad. I just want to know what drew you guys together.
Oh.
Because, choosing your podcast mate is like choosing a partner.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good question. It's kind of funny, too, because Brady was the real impetus. We've been friends for several years.
He does look like the masculine one, I have to say.
I like the what?
The masculine one.
Thank you.
A few extra pounds will do that to you.
Oh, that was unnecessary.
I used to be ripped, dog. Back, I could have been a contender.
No, so Brady was the big impetus. Basically, we're always cracking each other up. And so he's like, dude, we're hilarious. We should do a podcast. I'm like, that sounds like a lot of work. But then I went on a couple podcasts as a guest, and I was like, dude, this kind of fucking sucks. But I guess if I'm going to sell books, I should probably try and get good at this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, now we're doing a podcast.
So your reason is mostly to sell your books.
Yeah.
Your novels.
Yeah, ultimately. Yeah.
And you write like Western pulp fiction novels, correct?
Yeah. Adventure fiction, too.
Yeah. Something the world needs more of. I'm a huge Conan the Barbarian fan. I think that is the pinnacle of pulp fiction.
Agreed.
It still holds up. I went back to it and read some the other day, and it's still just as good as I remembered. Actually, I found out that everything you thought was cool when you were 14 is actually still cool. Skateboards, nunchucks, it's all still very cool.
It's actually cooler because you can appreciate it.
I know. You can appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Sumo, I think the first time I became aware of you was Frank sent me the Onan the Librarian essay.
Okay.
So it's kind of a little thematic tie-in.
I forgot that was Yoshi's. That was
it's so
3
good.
years ago.
Yeah, it was like 3 years ago. And then it kind of flew off my radar. Like I didn't put it together that it was you.
Uh-huh.
And then you started showing up on my timeline with, I guess hot takes. I love them, but people get all upset. And then a few just other really banger essays that
super hot takes like enjoy your life.
I know.
Not falling.
Yeah,
think for yourself.
Are addicted to. This is the thing. I've been through the entire conspiracy theory tunnel.
Me too.
I started at one end and came out the other end, and a lot of people get lost in the middle and die. Or metaphorically die. They blow up their relationships, their lives. Start thinking they can exist just on air and become a breatharian and starve to death. Although maybe that's possible. The court's still out for me on that one. As weird as that sounds, people do end up destroying themselves. But what I learned going through is that it's actually always, it's like if you looked at, you peel behind the curtain and the wizard. And you're like, oh, it's the Illuminati. And then you rip that mask off. It's the Masons. You rip that mask off. Oh, it's the American government. Then you tear that off. It's like, oh, it's the Jews. And then you pull that off.
The final red pill.
And then it's the reptilians, and you pull that off. And then it's the Catholic Church, and you pull that off. And then it's just a mirror looking at you. And you're like, oh, right, I see. I'm the problem. You know, the world gives you back what you reflect to it. And a lot of people are desperately addicted to fear because it gives their life meaning that they can't have otherwise.
Yeah. It's a
Fear
way
is
to it's a way to shift responsibility too.
Yes. Yeah. I call it agency laundering.
Yeah. What a term. That's such a banger.
Yeah. Agency laundering is most of what people do.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. My favorite part about you, Yoshi, is you'll say the same schizo things that I tell Brady, and for some reason Brady understands it when you say it.
In many such cases, yeah, it's true. Frank will, but isn't that the way? Is that not normal? Where like there's like a certain formulation that just kind of clicks with the way you think, or like strikes you in a different way. I don't know.
We're doomed to be in violent disagreement.
We bicker like a married couple. So
yeah. I mean, I can see that. I see it. One of you is lit up in light, and the other one's bathed in darkness. It's like you're the light and the dark. You're the yin and the yang to each other already, just visually.
Yeah, Brady's Sith maxing tonight.
So yeah, I that's my conspiracy journey has been a very fruitful one, I think, and that's what I try to help other people get to and get through. Actually, you know, and of everyone I've encountered in doing this, there's only a few people that I feel have really got it. One is this very small Australian lady who's helped out on our podcast a few times, named Tanny, and she's just, you cannot phase her about anything. I mean, she's like, whatever happens she's just like, oh, it's all good, it's gonna work, you know. And she's really got it. And if more people could get to that level, cool, everything would be okay. But a lot of people listen for years and they're still like, you know, this is what the, you know, it's like, guys, how many times do we have to panic? And nothing happened except you panicked and destroyed your own self.
Right.
Before you get the message, you know? Like now everyone's worried about the gas is going to go away. The gas isn't going to go away. And if it does, it's going to be fine. It's fine. The Strait of Hormuz, you know, or Hor.
You know, did you see that joke? It's called the Strait of Mose before your mother crossed it.
Oh, that's fun.
I like to like your notes, at least. A lot of them have this sort of like koan quality, and like I come from a Zen background, and I find it very funny. There's a story about, you know, what's his name, Shunryu Suzuki, who's like probably the most famous in the Western world because of Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. But there's a book of like stories about him with his students, and there's this one that comes to him. He's like, Roshi, like I can't stop eating candy, right? Like it's this big problem for him. Suzuki like reaches into a bag that he has, and he goes, "Here, have some jelly beans." It's just like, you know, it's not something that I guess you can explain logically, but like it just makes sense to me. It's like just confronting with this thing you think is a problem, and like you said, it's like the problem's not the jelly beans; it's in the mirror.
Yeah, like I mean, I do that myself. You know, how many times in my life have I been like, oh, I need to stop eating such and such or whatever, and never good for, you know, sometimes. And then once I stopped working, I was like, well, that's just what I do. Somehow I got like a lot skinnier and in better shape, like without changing anything except my mindset about it. I find that is
what's that Blake quote? The fool that persists in his folly will become wise.
Yeah, the fool that persists in his folly will become wise. Or, you know, like the there's that story of the two angels are arguing in heaven, and they can't come to a decision, and so they say, well, let's go ask God. And so they come to the Father and they say, Father, we have a question of you. And he says, fine. Which man will get to heaven first? The one that loves you or the one that hates you? And God thinks for a minute and says, the one that hates me, he'll think of me more often. And I think that is like, that's like, there's something really, really, I do Zen koan, like, you know, I think that in a sense, like Christianity and the Bible is sort of a koan. It's like a thing that presents you with paradoxes that cannot be resolved logically. And just try to resolve them, right? Until you realize you cannot. And when you realize you cannot, then you're like, right.
Which I really feel that's the point of Job, and it gets passed over to me so much with other readings of the book. But like he literally says it at the end. He's like, I've heard all these things, but now I see. And then it's just, that's it.
That's it. Or Thomas Aquinas. He wrote all those books. And every time someone quotes Aquinas to me, I say the same thing, and they never registers. I said, yeah, he wrote all that. And then at the end of his life, he had a mystical experience, and he said, everything I've written is a straw, which is, it's like, just accept it. Like, but no one can accept that it's straw. Everyone's like, oh, that's this is very important. And, but no, the guy that actually wrote it eventually was like, this was actually dumb. And if you wisdom is just starting at that point, like, okay, it's dumb. Just move on.
Yeah.
I don't have to spend 50 years wading through the difference between accidents and essences. Oh, God. And all of this like Aristotelian, masturbation. You can just move on from that.
No, I mean, you're exactly right. And that's
I think Aristotelian masturbation was Ayn Rand's memoir, right?
Yeah, that's right. And Ryan, Aristotelian, that was her romantic novel. She was a fascist in the novel, comes and binds her up and makes her
talk dirty to me. A is A.
Yeah, it makes her philosophize about Aesop's fable. While spanking her with a cane or something. I don't know what she was into. She did seem like she was a lady that would have like a fetish for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Ayn Rand was deeply problematic in her sexuality, I think. Yeah, for sure.
That's very clear in her books.
Mary Shelley. This is why I tell people, if you want to be, there's only a few paths to being an established author, and you have to be a little unhinged in one direction or the other. And the direction that I've gone is, I feel, more difficult, although more sanitary. But like Mary Shelley lost her virginity on her mother's grave, and that's what you have to do. That's the kind of person you have to be.
Her whole thing with Percy and Byron and like, dude, they were libertine is being conservative.
Yeah, I mean, there was all. I mean, you think about it. We don't think about it now, but she wrote a novel about like very close to necrophilia, like stitching a guy back together. It's like come on. But yeah, that koans. That's
the author's poorly disguised fetish there.
Yeah, the poorly disguised fetish is Mary Shelley. I think you can read that in a lot, not to be reductive. I don't want to be, too psychological with people, but I think you read that a lot and a lot of people, what they state in their books or their posts online, you're just kind of really seeing their sexual fetish behind like 2 or 3 pieces of paper screens, like Japanese paper screens, and you're seeing the shadow of like people having weird sex through it. Every time I see a trad person, they're like, authority, and they say Holy Father in a very weird way. It's like a spank me daddy sort of way. And it's like, I see that. I don't pretend I don't see, I see it. And I know that you may not even be aware of it, but I'm looking through the shadows in your paper screen, and I see what you're doing. I don't.
Oh yeah, dude. There's a certain. I won't out anybody. It wouldn't matter if I did, but they're all boomers. But I sometimes go to this Bible study with a bunch of non-denom boomers, and they're great guys. End of the day, I like them a lot. But like, there's a few of them that have gone very far on that like sort of Richard Foster, Henri Nouwen kind of track, and they're the intimacy with the Lord, and like they're very quick to quote Song of Songs, and you're just like, it's getting a little gross.
It's like that South Park episode where they make. Have you seen that one? And he's like, it
sounds like you're in love with Jesus.
It sounds like you're. Yeah, but that I don't think that's an invalid. Like the ultimate divine, there probably is an erotic element by which we relate to it.
Yeah, there has to be.
It has to be. So I'm not even against it. It's just like, maybe we don't say that.
Yeah,
every
well, it's also like
maybe we get a 4th paper screen.
Maybe we can get a 4th. Maybe that's not for every day.
Right.
Maybe that's not every Sunday. Is that? Maybe that's just once in a while.
Yeah.
Goodness. But yeah, I love and we shouldn't even have to say something like what I'm about to say, but I just, for the sake of whatever, like, I don't agree with everything you say. She like, that would be absurd. We'd be the same person. But like, I fucking love the pushback you get on some of these notes where it's just like sacred barbecue or sacred cow barbecue every day. And like, it's delightful. People lose their minds.
There are 2 things that I've done in my online career which got people legitimately like want to hurt me bad. One was, this was back in the Facebook days when I was back when that was a thing that wasn't just.
I'm an old Facebook troll too.
AI pictures, you know?
Yeah.
Back when it just wasn't like an AI picture of George Washington feeding a homeless cat or whatever.
Yeah, communing with Glenn Beck.
Yeah, Glenn Beck. I love that, by the way.
Glenn Beck seance. It was amazing.
What an amazing thing to do. To just say, the president agrees with me. Here, I made a cartoon of him. Look, he's talking and he says, I'm right. That's so ballsy.
Dude.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much. Anyway.
It's such a logical character arc for Glenn Beck, too. Like, growing up, listening to him during the Iraq War.
Yeah.
For that to pop up on my timeline, I was like, of course. The writers are genius.
Yeah, I mean, it's a genius move. I love, but one was in the Facebook days. I said something to the effect of, I don't like it when people say they go have their pet put down, their dog or their cat, and then talk about how much they love it. I said, I don't know that you can kill your best friend that you love. You know, I don't know. I think my exact words were, I don't know if you poison someone, you can call them your best friend. And that made this one woman I knew, she didn't forgive me for years. I don't know if she still hasn't. She may still not have, you know. But I don't know. I mean, I understand the animal suffering, but like...
No, I get the impulse energy. I get it.
Yeah. I think if you could ask the animal and they could speak and you'd say, do you want me to poison you? They would go, no. That's my feeling. I think they would go, no, don't poison me. You know? That's what I think they would say. I don't know. I can't verify that, but and the other one was when I got an Orthodox icon and stepped on it with my bare feet and took a video of me doing that. That made people really mad. But my point in doing that was not to desecrate the icon. It was just people were telling me we don't.
Was it a model train?
No, it was a. That's a good. It was an icon of something. I don't. Maybe just Jesus' face. I don't remember. But my point in doing so was that people were like, hey, and I'm not against having images. I'm not an iconoclast. I have several.
Yeah.
But people were like arguing, like they were going this, in my opinion, completely a historical argument about like all that, you know, they go round and round. Anyway, but it didn't matter. They were like, we don't worship them. And I was like, well, we know that they're not like really Jesus. Like, well, is that true? Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see how mad you get. If it's just an object, let's see how much emotion. And they had so much emotion. It was like they just flew off the handle. And I was like, it sounds like maybe you are more attached to this than you were saying, you know. And they were like, I bet you wouldn't do that with the Bible. And I stepped on the Bible. And
yeah. Well, I remember one time somebody who was not like a card carrying Christian. I don't know if they were like curious about it or what. A friend of mine, and she I got Bibles, you know, out the wazoo over here, and one of them got like water damage, and she was like, well, what do we do with the book? And I was like, throw it away. She's like, it's the Bible. And I'm like, no, it's a book. I mean, it's the Bible is not this thing, you know.
I'm not gonna lie, I have every torn up Bible I've ever had, and they just stay in boxes because I can't do it. I can't throw it away.
Really? I'm sorry, you broke up slightly. What was in the box?
Every torn up Bible I've ever had, I still have. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Like,
really? That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so here's my suggestion to Protestants, and then my corresponding suggestion to Orthodox and Catholics is that every Easter you should burn the Bible or an icon or statue. Because, you know, the new life has come. You've been resurrected from the dead. You don't need the old former things have passed away. Like, not that it's worthless, but just like, hey, this isn't where your life comes from. You know, it's not in this. And just throw it in the fire. You know, reverently burn the Bible every Easter is my suggestion. Or maybe an icon or a statue of Mary. And people would,
we're gonna get the comments hate
all
now.
All of Mexico would try to execute you.
Yeah, for sure.
But that just shows that they have an unhealthy obsession. It's like, well, but Mary's not in the statue. You understand?
I do. Yeah, you're really like trolling the Pharisees hard with this one, Yoshi.
Well, I'm not even. I mean, I'm trolling for effect.
Yeah,
I'm not trolling just to make. I just think trolling. I think is you're saying things just to get an emotion.
Yeah,
I am trying to get an emotion to get people to see that they have a blind spot.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
You're
playing the jester.
I'm playing the jester. That's right. That's what I do a lot.
Jestermaxxing.
I'm jestermaxxing.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like the new what would you like, patois or whatever we have.
I adore Zoomer linguistics.
I do too. I told I got this from somebody else, but I got my daughter's phone. I changed my contact in there from dad to looks maxing giga dad. I got that from somebody else, but
that's awesome.
She just like, why did you, when she saw that, I called her and said, looks maxing giga dad. Immediately she changed it back and was like, what are you talking about? But, that's a pretty cool name,
My favorite thing with my daughter lately, I've made a note about it, but like, not to keep like hammering on this, but it's still the funniest thing to me. She's never seen that K-pop Demon Hunters movie because she's not even 5 yet. I think it's a little too flashy, maybe a little too violent and weird, but she likes the music because her cousins are into it.
Yeah.
But she called it Cake Pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah, which would be a great spinoff.
Exactly. She has no concept of Korean pop music, right? So like in her world, cake pops are a thing, and the logic there is like adorable. And it makes you realize too that that's sort of not to like, overanalyze it, but it's like sort of the way that everybody interacts with the world, right? Like you have this framework and probably a decent amount like mediated by language. I think there's direct experience too, but like it's very funny. I don't know. Cracked me up. Very cute.
Yeah, I mean, I want to talk more about language, but have you seen Demon Slayer, the like adulter one?
No, and
it's actually really good.
The anime, right? Like I have a buddy
the anime.
Who says I would love it.
It's actually, I think it's very gory. My older daughter, she's a teenager now. She was into it. She got me to watch it. And I was like, does this not bother you? Like, they're like disemboweling people and stuff. I mean, it's good. And she was like, no, I was like, okay. But I mean, the message is really good. It's like demons bad. Like there's no, like all this subversion that's in so much Western, like, oh no, the demon has the heart of gold. Really? It's like, no. Demons bad.
Yeah.
Very bad. Like do not trust demon, right? And then
it's demon bad, humans good.
Demon bad, human good, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the theme of there is no Antimemetics Division. I think in a way, that's something to.
Yeah, I think so. Well, tell me what you thought about the book. I guess that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, we don't have to.
Tell me what you thought about the book and how had you heard of it before I mentioned it, or was it a thing?
No? Well,
it was on my radar for a while, but I never got around to it.
Yeah, I think I was vaguely. I think I had seen the cover before, and I think Vanya maybe had said something about it, but I didn't know anything beyond that. And I must admit that I wouldn't be immediately drawn to reading someone that goes by the moniker QNTM.
Yeah.
But no, that podcast, we'll have to find a link and put it in the show notes because it's just brilliant, that one you did on memes, and just fantastic. But it gave context to a lot of things that I hadn't really been able to articulate.
The book or the podcast?
The podcast.
Okay.
The book was just kind of a fun riff on the concept. Like as far as what was sort of quote unquote enlightening was more your talk about it, but I did quite like the book. Mm-hmm. What's funny is, for people that don't know anything about it, it started as like a serial on like a weird wiki forum, basically.
Yeah. Yep.
And Frank ended up reading, this guy, I think his name's Sam Hughes is his real name, Quantum. He like heavily revised it for like traditional publication. And I started reading the original version, and then Frank was like, oh, I'm reading the newer one. So I switched over. I read basically half of the old one and all of the new one. And I don't know how much of a hand his editor had in it, or if he just improved tremendously. Like the writing quality in the TradPub one is way better.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine so. He probably banged it out quickly, his little wiki posts, and then went back and like.
Yeah, I think the bones of the story are the same. He changed a lot of the character names and stuff, and who knows why. And he had to remove, because the SCP wiki is under like Creative Commons or something, so he had to change a lot of like names of stuff and delete some things that they couldn't print for copyright reasons. But which is all to say, I mean, I thought it was a very cool premise. I cared enough about the characters. Like, I don't think they were particularly deep, but that's an interesting thing to talk about if we want to get into the craft side of it. But it was really cool. I mean, I don't think I've really ever read anything like it.
Mm-hmm.
Very well executed on an interesting premise.
Yeah, and that's a lot of times a lot of people are missing when they write a book is they've got all the skills to write well, but they don't have a good premise.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this should be good, except the way you chose to write about is boring. You know,
yeah. The promise of premise isn't there.
Yeah,
right.
Or exactly. And
they don't execute it.
Sometimes having a banger premise makes up for a lot of like poor execution. Honestly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's where I read Foundation recently, which I was very underwhelmed based on its reputation. However, it was like, you know, it's a 3.5 out of 5 for me, even though I think it's actually poorly written. And I know I'm like shitting on the legend Isaac Asimov, but like as a novel per se, like technically, I was just like, this is kind of trash. But the idea
That's how I
is
feel
so
about
interesting.
every single book written in the 1800s. I'm sorry. It's like Herman Melville, and I know we have one listener that's like super into Melville. Get the story, right? Call Me Ishmael. Beautiful opening line. Great. So packed full of meaning. But then like 70 pages of like the description of the whaling ship is unnecessary. And it's just like,
I love Moby Dick, but
you and Zach Graffman
they didn't have
would along great.
I mean, what it is, I think, is they had to hand write it back then, and you're not going to backspace. You just have a lot of stuff on the paper, and you have to turn it in, you know, because it just rambles. The same with Dostoevsky. Like, okay, yeah, that, you know, the scene, the Grand Inquisitor scene is great. That's amazing. If that was the book, 5 out of 5 stars. But Elio, someone needs to go. What would improve it a lot is if someone went through and just changed the names of the characters to something that was like not Zagdovikovich. That would help a lot. But you know, they're very overrated to me. Just because I'm like, no, people have gotten better at writing. We've gotten better at writing because the tools of writing are better.
Dude, you're totally correct. You're totally correct. Because like, doing this podcast, we go back, we read a lot of Golden Age sci-fi, like a lot of old Heinlein, and we just read this total dreck from Poul Anderson. And
I'm
it's
so
like,
sad about that book still.
Dude, people are writing way better than these guys. They were just the only ones doing it.
Exactly. People have a fetish for the past, especially conservatives. But like, you look at like objectively what people are producing now, writing wise. Like maybe the premise isn't as good. Maybe the morals aren't there, but technical ability. Yeah. Same with music. You know, people are like, I think there are guitarists on YouTube blowing Jimmy Page away every day, and they're like 10 years old.
Oh, yeah. It's not even close. Tim Henson from Polyphia he's got to be one of the best guitarists to ever live. Like, maybe Polyphia is not your bag, but like it's stupid. If you have an ounce of envy in your soul, you watch a Tim Henson video and you just go, I'm going to fucking quit playing. Like, you're never going to be that good.
Yeah, or like, sorry.
Well, I was going to say about in terms of novels is like, I had a note the other day that got no play because it's not something that people can fight about and it's convicting. But I said that the primary purpose, and I said in terms of ordinal numbers, not the most important thing, but the first thing a novel should do is entertain.
Yes.
And the primary purpose of acquiring technique as a writer is to move the emotions of the reader.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
If you can entertain and move, you're going to find success. You're going to write good books. Now, if you can do that in service of a kind of lofty ideal or thematic, you know, if you have the thematic chops and the characterization and all that stuff, like then you'll go even further. But, and that's partially drawn from this writing teacher that Frank and I both like named Thomas Utzel from like the 1920s. And he wrote a book called The Technique of the Novel, which I almost don't want to share the secret sauce, but I also know that nobody's going to fucking read it, so who cares? But he goes into this pretty lengthy critique of War and Peace. And basically what he says is it's a great book, but it's not really a novel. It's like half a novel and half a history book. And he loses some of the fundamentals of novel writing when he gets caught up in, essentially proselytizing and stuff, right? And people want to hear stuff like that, but the book's 1,300 pages long.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that is exactly true. That what you said, you have to entertain and move, and that's the fundamental ingredients.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
don't know
Brady,
I don't know that I do that in fiction. I've written I've published some short stories, some of which I like, some of which I don't like. I do have a novel kind of finished that one day will maybe be published.
Ooh.
That I have to go through. What happened is I spent a long time writing it, and then I finished it, and I was like, I don't want to look at this anymore. And so
Frank's gonna jump in here.
That's the best, Yoshi. Just fucking write another, and then you can go back to that one in like 2 years.
Yeah. But now my problem is I'm writing these articles and that people like, and I keep having more ideas for them. And so every time I think I should finish I should go back and re-edit the novel, rewrite it so it's good. Finally, I get distracted doing another thing.
Yeah,
and then I got to make a podcast. And then I gotta,
have a family.
Exactly. I'm trying.
You got a Cormac Max, dude. You move to the woods and eat beans.
I know. You move to. I am knocking on wood.
Make your wife.
I have a tendency to say things. Yeah, I have a tendency to say things long before they materialize. I don't know why. I get my hopes up, but I do. I am in the works of moving on to stage performances. I don't know if it's going to be connected to the podcast at all. It may be, but it may not be. But I'm in the works of moving to because I think going to in-person, face to face, is something that the digital space is missing a lot. We'll see if it happens. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it'll happen. I agree. No, I take that back. It will happen. I don't know when it'll happen. It'll happen at some point, but I don't. Probably a while from now.
Manifest.
And then well, I'll talk about that later. Let's keep talking about what we're talking about. The noveling.
Well, I was also gonna say, to your point of things advancing and being good now. I showed Brady. Have you heard of Epic the musical? Yoshi, by chance? It's this freaking.
No, I have not heard of Epic the musical.
This is amazing. Explain this. It blows me away.
So, some guy, I think he's a Brazilian composer, basically put together this whole musical. It's a retelling of the Odyssey. It's the Odyssey as a musical, and it's huge. Only Zoomers really know about it. It's pretty contained generationally.
It's like a viral TikTok thing.
Yeah. Okay. And you can look up the whole thing on Spotify or YouTube. It's 2.5 hours long. It's great. But Brady was just
brilliant.
Holy fuck. I'm blown away.
Yeah.
When people are oh, nobody makes art anymore. It's dude, I can, if I have to trot out my credentials or whatever, I have a music degree. I've been playing professionally for 20 years. I wrote country music in Nashville. I understand songwriting, lyrics. This. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. You finished. I have a terrible tendency to interrupt. You continue.
No, it's fine. Me too. But I just get excited, But it's fucking brilliant. 10 out of 10, no notes. Beautiful. The ending of this, when he reunites with Telemachus first, and then the final piece is him with Penelope and the bed, and dude, I'll just cop to it. Makes me cry. It's stunning. And
I know. Yeah.
It's just some random dude independently producing music with these incredible singers. And it's, this is 2026, and this thing that's blown up on TikTok with Zoomers, and you got all these people on Substack going, we don't make art, we don't respect their tradition. It's it's the fucking Odyssey,
I know. I know. Yeah, exactly. I know.
Yeah.
It's no, you are just, you just don't know, you are the Luddite. You're not seeking out art, and you don't know where it is. You're the problem. This is why I said it's you in the mirror. Yeah. If you don't see art, it's that's because you are the type of person that can't appreciate it. You need to go back to art appreciation class.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you can have...
As an aside, since you worked in Nashville, do you know anyone I could give a song to called Baby Through a Screen? Because I think it's really good for one Nashville artist somewhere.
I don't have a lot of contacts anymore.
Okay. That's fine.
I mean, if you send me something, I have a couple people I can email, but I don't have big industry. That's 15 years ago at this point.
Yeah, well, it's worth a shot. But I did one time. It came to me in a dream, and I sat down and I wrote a country song called "Baby Through a Screen." that I think I would put up against anything to make a middle-aged white woman cry that Nashville has put out in the past couple of decades. And I think it would be hit in that regard. But yeah,
That's awesome.
moving on.
Well, the thing for me, and we kind of do it on the podcast, but I do it in my own reading, and like that thing about being entertaining, for one, like, you know, we do like to get a little egg-headed, or at least I do, and like analytical with stuff. But on an earlier episode, I posed the question sort of rhetorically in terms of things being like edifying, like, why do we still read the Iliad? And Frank goes, because it's fucking sick.
Yeah.
Right. And I think you can certainly like appreciate, like, I know they're not even remotely related, but they are remotely related. But like the new Wuthering Heights movie and the novel, my wife wanted to watch the movie. So I was like, I haven't read Wuthering Heights in 20 years. I'm going to go back and read it. And I find it very enjoyable, but it's almost like a psychological horror novel. I texted Frank about it and I was just like, I really like this, but you can't write this way anymore. Like it's completely antiquated. I enjoy it, but you can't reproduce this now, you know, that style. And,
right.
Or at least not without like riffing on it. So like, I draw lots of parallels to music. And so like, I'm educated and trained. Like I played in an orchestra for many years, not like a collegiate one, not professionally in orchestral music, but I love Bach, Mozart, like,
yeah.
And not in like a background way. Like I can dissect it with you, but like, I'm also a huge metalhead, and like,
yeah.
Metal is absolutely the heir to Western concert music.
I have said the same. It's like, it is, the pieces of metal music are so complex.
Yes.
And they flow together. It's like it is, you have to be a masterful musician to pull those off.
Yes. And the Pagan, there's 1,000 little Paganinis like stoned in the Bay Area in California playing technical death metal that are, you know, and it's like the explosion of technical ability, which isn't everything, of course. Like you can,
right.
And that's actually my critique of Gravity's Rainbow. I think Thomas Pynchon is almost inarguably the most technically proficient writer in the English language. But it's not a very entertaining book because it's very hard to follow. And it's that Joycean like illusion density that it's like you need annotations to understand. No,
is he also Irish?
I think he's from Detroit or some shit. I don't know. DB would know.
Okay.
That is an Irish thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we will now go on a soliloquy about the leprechaun.
But it's incredibly impressive. It is fun to read, especially if you are kind of like word cell and you like language. Like I'm very auditory coming from music and like good prosody, and like he's just excellent. But what I've said about that book is it's like listening to the world's longest virtuoso guitar solo. It's not really a song. It's just like whole like pyrotechnics, and I respect it. It's fucking amazing, but it's not something. It's not a beach read, you know, which are important. It
doesn't have an internal. It's like, okay, yes, but what's the narrative going on? Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Pynchon is descended from Massachusetts Puritans, so the more you know.
Yeah.
There you go. Thomas Pynchon.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I gotta say, I don't like James Joyce. I know that's
well, my controversial take on James Joyce is that his early work is much better. So, like, Dubliners, I think Dubliners is actually great, which is like his short story collection, mostly because, like, going back to that writing teacher we like, and like, I think the way he talks about a short story, this guy Thomas Utzel, is that the purpose of a short story is to evoke a particular emotional effect and to sustain that pretty much like single-mindedly over the course of a piece. And when you start to incorporate different effects is when you're getting into longer length material. Joyce, like, in Dubliners is very good, like, to use the like Zoomer language, like it's very much a vibe. Like some of those stories, there's one where he's like, there's this girl he has a crush on that like goes to a market and buys this thing, and it's like this, like, you know, naive, like yearning young love thing, and it's very melancholy, and it's really just fantastic. He just gets, I don't dislike the aesthetic experience of reading like Ulysses or Finnegan, but they kind of, so like the thing I've said about like dodecaphonic or modern concert music, like basically everything after Schoenberg is like they evoke an effect, but it's basically just anxiety. Like there's one effect. Because they've done away with tonality, which is what gives things, you know, you go back to like Plato and is talking about modes and all that shit. But like Joyce just gets silly to me. And it's like, it's cool. But it's hard to read, like, for pages on end. You know, it just gets tiring to me.
Yeah, it feels like an experimental film that's a novel.
Right.
Where he's just playing with different shots and like, what if I do this? And then, you know. It's like, yeah, I could see how that could be helpful, but this should maybe just have stayed in your house. So.
Well, that's the way I feel about when you read Harlan Ellison, right? Some of it is utterly brilliant, and some of it is just like trash. And he was open about that, actually. He was like, look, I just write this stuff. Some of it hits, some of it doesn't. This is the way I work. And undeniably, I think a genius. But like, even reading an edited, like curated collection of Harlan's stories is kind of tedious because you're going to encounter something that's going to rock you and it's like really fucking good. And then you're going to read two that are just like, never getting this 10 minutes back.
Yeah. That's how I feel about watching Star Trek The Next Generation. There'll be like, there'll be like one episode that's like the greatest television you've ever seen. Yeah. And the next one there's like like encountering people like, made of bananas or something.
Like, is it season 4 or 5, you know, when he turns to the camera and he goes, I am the cutest of Borg. Resistance is futile. Yeah. All time. Yeah,
there's some that are like the greatest TV ever made, and then the very next episode is like, what was that?
Yeah.
I don't.
Which one is where the salamanders
I've grown to appreciate that, though.
Which one?
Is it Next Generation where they like turn into salamanders and mate?
I don't remember that.
I don't think that's Next Generation. It might be.
It might be Voyager.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Voyager was just so ridiculous, but it was, But that was, yeah. It's harder to do that in a book form, though.
Yeah. Well,
I will say, back to antimemetics, I felt like it being a book and prose kind of held it back, actually. Like, I think it would work much better visually, like as a TV series.
Yeah, it should be picked up and turned into a miniseries.
It really should, yeah.
That's what Frank said before we hopped on today.
Yeah, I mean, I think they would work. It would be kind of... The concept is... I think you'd have to dumb down the concept a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it'd be hard to...
I think you could show more, though. Like,
you could show more.
Because I
don't know.
I'm not going to lie, I got a little lost sometimes in the book. Because I'm like, all right, so there's a bomb going off, but it's not really a bomb. It's an idea bomb, you know, that's erasing all the information, essentially. So it's like, I don't know. I don't even know how you, like... It's hard to visualize for my monkey brain.
Right. Well, I think the main entity that they're battling is like the personification of nihilism itself. And like, it's like an argument for why everything is meaningless and everyone should just sort of give up and die. That is so on the face of it transparently true that everyone that encounters it is immediately sucked into it and cannot resist falling into that. And so much so that they become not recognizably human to those that have not been affected with the idea yet.
Right.
And defeating this is a little bit of spoilers if anyone's listening, but whatever.
You're good.
We don't care about spoilers on here.
Yeah. And so defeating it requires basically an act of faith and this germ of an idea of like, no, actually there is a reason. There is a point. There is love. And that has to be amplified, in this sort of way. But
so can I tell you what curious what you think of my,
sure.
My one like sort of complaint about the book.
Sure.
I feel like I think what I said to Frank was like, it's a little bit Reddit pilled at the end. Cause like, he's so afraid to talk about God.
Yeah.
And I don't think it needs to be like done explicitly. In my work, I mean, I'm a Christian, can't help, I think, but engage thematically with that. But I barely ever outrightly state it.
Yeah, you're like fiction metaphysics are inherently Christian.
Right. And all I mean is that, so what I would say is the thing that like defeats it is this kind of mundane love your neighbor type of thing, right? It's almost like an argument against the idealistic idea of loving humanity. It's like loving it because it's Adam and I don't know what they're named in the original book, actually. They're called Adam and Marie, and the woman who's the head of the Metics Division and her husband.
Right.
Because one of the scenes is like that the entity that had followed the woman around helps the guy defeat the big bad.
Right.
The like most poignant part of the book is like after Marie's died and they can't remember each other, and that like good entity like comes to him and like plays back this sequence of memories to him, and they're all very ordinary. It's like coffee out on the porch and like reading the paper in bed, like this very sweet, just kind of everyday thing. And that's the thing that overcomes this like cosmic evil. And I think that's a very Christian theme. And
absolutely.
And he's just not, there's like, the Lord never says love humanity. He says love your neighbor, right? Which first and foremost is like your family and the people that you interact with on a daily basis. And I think, I'll just get into explicitly Christian metaphysics for a second. Like, I think, not to pull out my like evangelical, the enemy, but like I do think the demonic like lie is that like that stuff doesn't matter. Like you have to do something epic to win.
Right.
And what you have to do is care for the people around you. And like that's the thing that changes stuff.
Yeah, it's what's the line? It's I shouted a phrase and some few quotes I knew as if something that's written should be taken as true. I thought that one quick moment that was certain and sure could erase the worst of my life. Something like that. It's from Dawes. I don't know if you're familiar with that band.
No, I
didn't get it right. But the point of the song is I thought that, I had all these these quotes, and I thought giving my life in the end would make up for the rest of my life where I didn't show up.
Right.
Yeah.
And so many people have that mentality. You hear this on here. I'm going to help a lot of people. You see a lot of this with like red pill guys and stuff, and not everything they say is wrong. Like they have reasons and stuff that's valid. Like you'll see them like, I saw this guy. He was talking about, I would have died for my wife. I don't know why. I don't know why we got divorced or whatever. And I said, I didn't say, but like, well, okay, you would have died for her, but would you have taken her out to dinner?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like, would you have showed up to the mundane thing? Like, I know that you have the courage in one quick moment to sacrifice everything, but do you have the courage to sacrifice 5-10 minutes?
Yeah.
It's like, that's so much more powerful.
Yeah. It's like that. It's like that note I had the other day about, I forget. Oh yeah. Uncommon red pill strategy is to randomly do nice things for your wife. They tend to reciprocate. And it's
yeah. Oh yeah, that was a good one. If you do nice things. Also, I will say I have recently gotten into French cooking. That's a big hit with women. If you can cook something like a really nice French meal, like a duck la orange, perhaps. Duck la orange.
That's the Frank pronunciation.
Yeah.
That is, yeah.
So, I've been trying to get it. I found that if you do nice things, people like it. Women in general, women like it. Your wife likes it.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Being a happy person is so much better for both. This is a good advice for both men and women. Like, what if you just try being less sour all the time? It would go such a long way. Rather than pontificating about what's wrong with the battle of the sexes and the fertility crisis, what if you were just like, hey, hey, let's hang out and have fun?
Well, dude, that's like
I've told you these things so that your joy may be full. Clearly, doesn't mean that.
Yeah, it doesn't mean no. It's about being sad. That's how you know you're serious. See?
I sent Brady this Kesha song the other day. Grow Up There.
That's good.
And dude, it's fucking hilarious. But like the whole thing is her being mad at this guy because all he does is fucking bitch and moan. And it's like, man, what a red pill. You can find wisdom in the oddest places. You just had to listen to this Kesha song. But like that is probably like 95% of a lot of the red pill community, quote unquote. I like a lot of shit that comes out of there too, but at the end of the day, a lot of what they're doing is just whining. And it's like, that's the most unmasculine thing you can do is whine.
Yeah, it's also very off-putting if you're a woman doing it. It's just like,
no, you're not wrong.
If you red pill hard enough, you wrap back around to gender equality, and you're like, wait a minute, the things that men do that are, it's the same thing women do that are also annoying. It's like basically you're just being a shitty person. And that's the problem in this relationship. And that applies to either sex. You know?
Well, and it's, I'm not saying I'm above this. I have my bad moments, but really what you're doing is trying to like offload a burden you feel onto another person, which is really not fair to them. I mean, it's not, especially if there's no like imminent solution, like if you're not problem solving. I just like some inside baseball. I don't know if I should say this, but like Frank and I kind of just made a pact between us. It's like there's no bitching about anything unless you're going to solve it. Because what good does it do? And it's like,
you bring
the
down the
irony.
vibe.
Yeah. And the irony there too, that I think a lot of people don't grok is like what you're doing. This concept of venting, I think is total bullshit. Like what you're doing is perpetuating the cycle. Like you're adding fuel to the fire, right? You're not, like your emotions aren't a, hydraulic system.
You're also speaking negative things into existence.
Yeah,
like
that too.
Words are magic.
Yeah, what you talk about does tend to happen more often.
Yeah.
It seems to be true. I mean, it's weird, but it's true.
The thing I have feared has come upon me. There's Job again.
Yeah. The thing I have feared has come upon me. That's true. That's like you trying to tell people. They're like, oh, they're going to get us. Like, first of all, whose day? And they go, the Jews. That's what they always say. And you go, okay, well, if you just keep saying, I mean, you're just kind of begging for someone in a yarmulke to come get you at that point. Like, what are you doing? Like, stop.
Well, there's that old joke where there's the two guys on the train and, the two Jewish guys on the train and the one's reading the newspaper. And the guy, he says, Moshe, why do you read this stuff? He goes, it's so negative. And he goes, no, it's amazing. He goes, according to this, we run the world. And he goes on. It's a, I didn't do the joke well, but the concept of it is very funny.
Yeah. No, I've never met a Jewish person I thought could run the world. Just like they're very neurotic. They're very, I think they'd agree with me. I don't like, they can do a lot of things really well.
That does sound like a Larry David quote, though, to be honest.
Yeah, like TV shows, they're great at TV.
Yeah.
Running the world, I don't think they would. They have so much trouble running Israel. They barely, it's like falling apart all the time. They're not running the world. They're barely making, they can't even get a temple in their own country made when they're the majority. And they have all the weapons. They can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. They've been slaughtering red heifers for like 2,000 years. And
I kill another red heifer. It's like that meme of the soy jack, but he's got a yarmulke on. He's just, there's 10,000 red heifers behind him in bloody messes. And he's like, one more. I'm going to do it. Like, no, I don't think you are, man. I don't know.
That's hilarious. Dude, back to the book. I was reading it. And so, just for listeners, like concept wise, these anti-memetic entities like basically consume information.
Yes.
And so there's like these people that are studying them will like take notes on them or record them or stuff. And they can't remember when they leave the encounter. And then the physical information starts to degrade. Like the tapes don't work. And it's very like frailty pilled actually.
Yeah.
Right.
In the book, there's large sections of it, especially when there's like intense encounters with these things that are like redacted out of the text. They're just like blacked out. And I was curious about that, like how that would be done in audio. So I threw the audiobook on with the big like redaction section. It's a really cool production effect. It's just like, it's all these like weird like noises and harmonics and like voices overlaid. Yeah, it's really cool.
It's like feedback.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I talked about in the podcast, The Haunted Miami. I think that there are such information sinks that exist.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think I've encountered a couple of them, and they are quite scary in a way, because it's like, what's happening? I don't like I talked about the statue that I couldn't take a picture of, which was the weirdest thing probably that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was the strangest, one of the strange, I mean, I don't know, that or the UFO encounter. I don't know, one of the two.
What was the UFO? Oh, I remember the UFO encounter.
He was on like a trampoline with his buddy.
Yeah. Which was
What's funny about you saying that UFO encounter, Yoshi, is I've had a couple similar experience. I won't say I've ever had a paranormal experience, but I will say I have a couple experiences doing I grew up on a farm, so feeding the cows out in the dark, was a creepy thing growing up. But dude, there was a few weird fucking experiences that I'm like, what really? I was way too freaked out as a kid of Bigfoot. And I'm like, did anything get repressed? Because I've always had that bent, but you wonder after listening to that podcast, I was like, you wonder if you can't remember it, you don't know. But the after effects are still there. You have to read the symptoms.
You have to read this. I likened it to, one time I almost skied into a moose.
Skied into a moose?
Yeah, I was in Canada in Whistler.
I love that sentence.
I was in Canada in Whistler and I was skiing, and I'm not a great skier, okay? But I was feeling very enthusiastic that day, and I thought, I'm going to go down this trail. I probably shouldn't go down. Wasn't a black diamond, but it was, if you're in the States, a blue square in Canada is a black diamond in the States, except in a few places.
Yeah.
Because it's graded on a curve, and people that ski in Canada are on a different skiing level.
Right.
And so I was on this, and it was getting a little, and I took some turn, and I'm flying down there, and I'm sort of losing control, but I'm holding it together, and I come around the corner, there's just a moose standing there, and I kind of wipe out, and I tumble and like out of the moose, and the moose just kind of looks at me and then walks away. And I was wondering about that. I don't think the moose remembers that at all. If I had to guess, I think the moose encountered what is to him an alien with alien technology,
right?
And it was something he'd remember if he was attacked by a wolf, because that's something on his plane,
right?
But he encountered something different than him. And I don't think he had any place to put it, and he just was confused and wandered away.
Well, it's
that was a loud sound. I'm not sure what was happening. Something was yelling.
Yeah, it's the same thing where you can approach wild animals in a car, right? And they just don't react because they have
they don't
framework. Yeah, for what a car is. It's not. It doesn't mean
a lion approaching them, they're like, ah! But a car, they're like. They don't. It doesn't even register somehow.
Yeah.
Well, that's also, this may be getting off into the weeds, and we don't have to follow this all the way. But something I've always thought's interesting about the biblical narrative is the kind of atheist gotcha argument is oh, well, it's the same as all these ancient Near Eastern mythologies, and it's well, yeah. So if Yahweh appears to a guy in the A&E and needs to make known his power and nature, what would he's not going to stick him into New York City. The reason Isaiah sees a stereotypical ancient Near Eastern throne room for the gods in Isaiah 6 is because that is the loftiest thing he could comprehend. Because so I don't think heaven literally looks like that, but I mean, how else would you express it to this guy,
Right. Yeah, people, it would, if we had a vision of heaven today, it'd probably look different than streets of gold and gem walls, because that was unobtainable to someone in first century Palestine.
Right.
But now it's kind of we kind of live in these space cities, and it's I don't know if I'm so impressed by that,
Right.
So it'd be something else. It would be, as impressive to us, whatever that might be.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's just trying to get across to you as much as you could understand what that might be like. Yeah.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is I feel that's almost, I don't know if it's explicit in the text, but it's certainly implied. The idea that if you look at God directly, you'll die. Mm-hmm. Right. It has to be mediated in some way.
Well, I think there's a very good reason why if you look at God, you'll die. But it's too long to explain. But it's a very
someday.
When you hit on that one, it's it is. There are a few times in my life when I have been meditating on these things and something will hit me and I just sort of collapse on the floor because I'm like, oh, of course, like it's just like so overwhelming.
Yeah, I had an experience like that once.
Yeah.
So what's the?
Go ahead, keep going.
No. So what's the reason?
What's that?
So what's the reason?
He says it's too long to go into.
It's too long. Well, it's. I'd have to set it up in a way. I'd have to have a production because you'd have to be set properly to feel it to punch. If I just said it, you wouldn't feel it.
Okay, interesting.
I'm gonna work on that. I'll work on that for you.
I'm definitely curious. I will say another critique of the book. I mean, I very much liked it overall. And it's got to be the most interesting premise I've seen in a very long time, if not ever. I think it's weird. I don't know how to articulate this. Maybe you guys can riff on this and clarify what I mean. I don't know that I loved like how completely morally good the protagonists were. And I'm not arguing for I'm not arguing for like this, Martin-esque, like, everybody's have to be gray and like, dirty past and all this stuff. But like, and maybe for the story, it just has to be that way because of what they're up against. But they're a little bit Boy Scouty, I guess. Like it was, right. And I don't even know that's a problem per se, but it makes them feel a little cardboard.
I did feel like
I agree with
they were in the middle of a war, right? And so it's kind of like,
yeah, that's true.
Everyone's almost their best self.
It has
you don't really have that much time to be a
That's a good point.
If you're like in the middle of
that's a good point.
Existential war, but I do get it. I did appreciate the Adam and Marie relationship. Like it was pretty heartbreaking when Marie, when it essentially like chooses to forget Adam, and that was pretty punchy. I was like, okay,
but I do like that he, like as the author, I like that he, in a sense, reunites them at the end.
Yes.
Because otherwise it's a little, if he hadn't have done that, it's too much of the like for the greater good trolley problem shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I hate. I mean, like, do you
really
play video games at all, Sumo? Well, I was just going to say, if anybody's played, or I didn't watch the series, but The Last of Us, the ending to that game is just stunningly beautiful. And I think you can tell a lot about a person by how they react to it.
Yeah.
I've watched the first 2 seasons. I never played the game, so I don't know the ending yet. And I think the show adheres fairly closely with a few, I don't know.
Well, yeah, here's a spoiler alert for The Last of Us, but basically whatever they're called, like the people that are trying to find the cure for it, kidnap Ellie, and they're going to extract something from her that'll kill her, and Joel saves her, and she asks him at the end of the game, the first one, I didn't play the second one, I don't care, but she asks him, it didn't work, right? And he doesn't know because he stopped it from happening, right?
Right.
And he says, like, yeah, of course. And she basically, I don't remember how it's phrased, but like she basically like, you would tell me the truth, right? And he says, of course. And then they go off together, right? And it's like he gave up, like he traded the entire world for Ellie,
right? Which is the correct move.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
and I think that's the kind of, I'm going to caricature it as an atheist standpoint, but it's not that simple. But this idea that like, the greater good and like the numerical valuation of people you could have saved and stuff is the better choice is actually completely insane to me.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea that human life is reducible to mathematics.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Well, what could be a strong, I mean, this is sort of a rhetorical question, but I'm curious if anybody has a reasonable answer to it. But it's like, what could be a stronger expression of love than like, I would sacrifice literally everything for you, right? And of course, I'm very obviously going to lead into the cross, but it's like, that's what it is to me. And like, setting all the theology aside and everything, and this is where I sort of a little bit side with it's a relationship, not a religion people, but I also, that's a cringe phrase, but this thing about like, I don't think a lot of people believe God loves them individually so much that Christ died for them. Because it's not Billy Graham or Augustine or like, it's like you, dude. And like I'm not going to be able to say this without getting emotional, but it's like when you realize that, like that trumps everything to me.
I mean, yeah, so many people from any kind of Christianity have a very, like, they don't really get that God loves them.
Right.
It's so sad. They do not, it's like, no, like, it's not some test that you're being put through and he's trying to grade you so you fail and you're going to go to, like, it's not that even remotely. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so, yeah, like, and I feel I was very blessed in this regard to have people that, growing up that would lay it out for me. Like, I remember there was one fella, one of my earliest memories in church is I don't know if he was a pastor or not, but he said, if you had been the only person that ever sinned, Jesus would have still died for you. You know, it's like, yes.
Yeah.
He told me that when I was like 6. And I was like, yeah, it's like, oh, right, okay.
That's beautiful.
You know,
Yeah.
it's, people just don't,
well, and folks,
people project.
And look, I'm not.
I was just going to say, people project the way they love themselves and others onto God. That's like the real problem going on there, right? Is like people treat themselves like
they don't believe they are lovable, really.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe they're not, right? Like that's the whole, it probably is that Augustine, like the thing that, well, I mean, St. John says it too, but like, we love because he loved us first, but also I forget the quotes, but like Chesterton talks about it in the Beauty and the Beast myth, right? Which is like for something to be lovable, it has to first be loved, right? Like it becomes like the image of that. And I mean, it's, this like going back to we used to like be nice to people and then they're nice back, right? It's like it has this perpetuating effect, right? Like not to make it, to undersell it or anything, but it's like yeah, dude, I don't know. But people of like the more high church, like trad backgrounds like to shit on evangelicals and like CCM all the time. Yeah, like it can be a little shallow if you're a big theology head and stuff, dude. But like being in like a stadium-sized mega church with people singing contemporary worship music, I've never experienced anything like it. I mean, and even if it's for that moment and they're just shitty people otherwise, it's like there's a moment where they're wrapped up in Jesus more than like anything else. And and they're like, oh, it shouldn't be an emotional thing, right? And it's like, well, why? Like, why do you have these emotions if they can't be
right? You should love God, but it shouldn't be emotional. Like,
yeah.
I started, but I haven't finished a post called, love actually isn't willing the good of the other. It's wanting somebody.
Yes.
Like, as people are showing, they're like, no, it has to be this rational bullshit. It's like, no, you can't love somebody for reasons.
Right.
That's not how love works. You don't love someone because it's a rational choice. That doesn't make any sense. Like that totally defeats it. Like imagine, and that's why people think it has conditions on it.
Yes.
It's like it's not. It doesn't because it's not a cause and effect thing. And that's what I made this other post recently. I said, what evangelicals miss, lack in theology, they make up for in emotional maturity. Which I mean, I think that statement, it was the evangelical pastor who told me that. He said, if you'd have been the only person that ever sinned, Christ would still die for you. I think that alone is like better than, if you could tell someone, it's better than reading all of Aquinas and Augustine. Just that little, like, yeah, okay, you got it. Like that depth of understanding emotionally of what we're talking about. And they are they are bad about Zionism. They do have problems. I get it. But,
yeah. Well, I go to, well, first of all, I think it was Francis Schaeffer or maybe it was Mike Heiser. I don't know. One of these guys said something to the effect of like, if you're looking to be in a congregation that tracks 100% with your theology, like you're just never going to find that. Right. Like, so when I came across that idea, I just went somewhere and was like, I'm going to commit to this. And I couldn't disagree more with the eschatological position in the church I go to. Like, I think it's insane. But these are people who are genuine and like passionate about it and like trying to do it. They're not. But yeah, dude, there's this lecture on YouTube of Brennan Manning, and there's a part in it where he starts harping on that individual thing, and he says something. I'm not going to get it quite right, but it's really powerful. He says like, and this is going to really tick off theology people, and we can go on to something else after this. But he said, and he was like a Catholic priest, and I mean, really like studied in depth for many, many years. And he said, I'm convinced after all this time that the final judgment is just going to be Jesus looking at you and saying, "Did you believe how much I loved you?"
Yes. And if you can believe that the final judgment, I agree, is to me being like, can you accept that you're okay, that I'm okay with you?
Yep.
And if a lot of people are not going to be okay, like, no, I've been so bad. And that's why if you do not forgive others, because you sitting there and you look at the other person that you like hate or whatever, and it's like, well, and then, it's like, there's no, because you're so filled with hatred and like anger, you can't express it back. And I agree with 100% with that.
Well, there's a song. What's the band called? I can't remember the name of the band. This girl that was in like a country folk duo, and she wrote this song, and it's for her son actually, but I can't hear it without like putting the words in God's mouth and like, forgive me if that's some blasphemous thing, but like, it's basically, the song's called Welcome Home, and the gist of it is like sort of a prodigal thing. It's like, no matter what you do, like you can always come back. Yeah. And she has a line in it, and it's undergirded by this beautiful like French horn thing, and she says, "Come inside and rest your weary soul. You are loved, you are wanted, and you're not alone."
Yeah. Man, I tell you, conservatives would win if conservative dads just said that. Because so many people, like, this fear of like, people have problems, right?
Yeah.
And your kids are going to have problems. They're going to have sexual desires that maybe they don't understand, you don't understand. They're going to be angry about stuff. They're going to believe different things. They're going to do drugs. They're going to whatever. Some are going to go to prison. But so much of that is abated, or so much of that is exasperated by the idea that I will be rejected and unloved if I do that. Like, I have these messed up things inside me, whatever they are. And if I express them, if they ever get known, and then they get bitterness, resentfulness, they get so angry, like, well, that means they don't really love me. And then they're acting out against that. And if people just knew, like, from their parents, which is a reflection of whatever, I don't necessarily approve of everything you're going to do, but no matter what happens, I will always love you.
Yeah.
Like, so much of that poison is just taken out of whatever it is. So much of it, and that's how they would win. It's not fighting it and like trying to like beat people over the head and get this, like, no, it's you win actually by loving, even like not fake love. Like, I love everybody, but actually I hate the world, which is what a lot of liberals offer you.
Right.
Like, it's like that meme. It's like that meme, me, a hateful bigot. I don't think we should kill unborn children. You, them, heart bursting, overflowing with love and joy and kindness and mercy. But what if it's poor? It's like, that's not a love.
Dude, I remember being at a party one time, and somebody was talking about how like in Denmark or something, they were like aborting handicapped children because they were going to be like a burden on society. And they're like, isn't this wonderful for everyone? And I'm like, this is the most horrific, like, you are demon possessed right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
it's like, I'd go to parents of somebody with Down syndrome, dude. It's like, some of those people are like, they're the most joyful freaking human beings.
I know.
Like they're just fucking cool, dude.
Yeah.
Like, they're happy and like, I don't know, dude. It's like,
yeah, there is, I forget what I don't, most of them are. There is a good documentary on YouTube, or at least there used to be, of this Down syndrome guy that was just like the worst person ever. It was hilarious. He would use his like the sympathy that he understood he got sympathy for, and then just manipulated people. Like, he'd like steal stuff, and like, it's just awful.
This is like a Machiavellian Down syndrome kid.
Yeah,
that's the real.
He's like, if I'm going to be Down syndrome,
he's like reading 48 Laws of Power.
That was Nietzsche's Ubermensch.
I love that documentary. I wish I could find it.
That's so funny.
That was the real Ubermensch.
It's like, yeah.
You may not like it, but this is what peak Nietzschean performance looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Yeah, I think that's how you win the culture war, is like, remove the fear that if people do the wrong thing, believe the wrong thing, think the wrong thing, that they will stop being loved.
Well, and that's the other thing too, dude. Like, I think, so I do believe in truth. Like, I'm trying to track with you on this, like, sort of postmodern discourse that's starting to brew up a little if you decide to pursue it. But at the same time, I think, I was going to say in theory, but I think in actuality, like, contradictory things can't be true. But I really think that all of our theology is wrong in some degree or another, sure. Right? Mm-hmm. And you're going to eventually receive a correction on that front. And so it bums me out when we go hard on the infighting and like,
well, that's why I think
it's like that article you had on the baptism stuff. It's like, there's not like a magic formula, dude. Like, it's not. Yeah. But anyway.
That's kind of why I think that like whole anti-human, antichrist axis we've been talking about is so good, because it is so simple, right? And it also, if you're not anti-human and you're pro-human, right, then that also encompasses what you're talking about, Yoshi, which is you're gonna fuck up. That's included in being human, right? And so if you're embracing pro-human, then that's covered in it. It's anti-human and antichrist to be optimizing everybody into perfect little drones that never fuck up and are all neural linked together and are yeast people.
The Evangelion orange goo.
Yeah.
Well, and there is something like, that old, Frank's gonna laugh. I just about to say, I was like, that old Latin phrase. He's gonna give me shit. But like, I don't know who said it, but like it's something like church fathers and shit, right? Like the O Felix Culpa, right? The beautiful fault.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
Like without the fall, like we don't have the story. Yeah. And it's like, this isn't a convincing argument in terms of apologetics, but sometimes like as a writer and a storyteller and stuff, like when people talk about that Christianity's silly or something, and I just go like, well, how else would you write it?
Right.
Like, it's actually kind of perfect. Like I try to poke holes in it sometimes, like just for the shits and giggles and stuff. And it's like, it actually, to me at this point, just makes a whole lot of sense. Like as a story.
Right.
I was even thinking about that this last Palm Sunday, right? It's like Christ showing up on the third day. That's a perfect climax. Like, how do you top that? He dies. Right. Everybody thinks they're rid of him. Surprise! 3 days later.
It's literally Act 2, like the end of Act 2 in like Save the Cat and shit. Like all hope is lost, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It is. Yeah, it's like oh happy fault is this goes down to like how everything is. It is that sort of yin yang idea. Like it's like people on GLP-1s right now, like Ozempic and stuff. And what they're finding out is like, well, it decreases your appetite for food,
but also turns you into a zombie.
It also decreases your ability to desire anything.
Yes.
Sexual intimacy, fun. It's like, you can't have like. There is an element of your desire for food and enjoyment that is also your just lust for life.
Yes.
Right.
And if you get rid of one, you get rid of the other.
And the struggle is the point.
The struggle is I did my education is in physics and college and stuff. And I always looked at it. I tended to believe, still do, that the physical world is a reflection of the spiritual world, or like a more primitive version, maybe. Because everything you find in the physical world, everything you find in the physical world, you find in the spiritual world, like momentum. Like when you're going in a direction, a habit, right? You tend to just keep going that way. If you haven't moved, it takes a lot of work to start moving, And there's friction in between surfaces and friction in relationships, and it's like it's all there. But like take friction for example. Like that sounds negative. But without friction, everyone would just slip and fall down.
Right.
Like you need the friction to be able to not every surface is slick as ice, And so you can actually hold things. And if everything was frictionless, you could not hold everything would just slip out of your hands.
Well, and the boundaries and the form are so important. And that's my objection to, I guess, a lot of like maybe modern art, like that's painting with a really broad brush, but it's like, I've made the comment before, like a sculpture is defined by its limits. And like, this is where I part ways with like at the end of Mere Christianity, C.S. Lewis kind of seems to advocate for this like idea of humans evolving into something better. And I don't think that's the case. I think the purpose, I think what God's up to is to perfect what we are.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what Lewis would have thought of it specifically if you were to ask him that question.
I don't either. It's just like a feeling I get reading the last chapter. I mean, it's a very good book otherwise, but.
Yeah. But I think what humans are in their full potential is essentially divine.
Yes.
I think to the point where you can actually like work miracles and stuff. And
100%.
I've had small intimations of that in my own life. I'm not claiming to be saintly or anything. I'm just saying that there have been moments where I've been synced up with like the groove of the universe and like just quasi miraculous things happen.
Yeah, well, I think there's this.
Jesus straight up says that. You know, like Jesus straight up says that after like he curses the fig tree, and the disciples are just, you know, left aghast at the power. And he's like, "Don't you know if you had just a little bit of faith, you could move that mountain over there?" Like he tells.
Yeah, but you know what's a better use of your time, Frank, is worrying about the Jews. See, that is if you do that, then you're sure to get there. If you just fixate on like the CIA and what Trump is doing,
well, also
you're definitely gonna get there faster than like, you know, giving thanks and being happy.
I think there's some
showing love.
There's some linguistic stuff too that gets lost literally in translation at this point, where like, and I'm not like a Greek scholar. I got like a first year knowledge of koan, but well, first off, Paul makes the comment, "Don't you know that you'll come to judge angels?"
Yep.
Which how else could you read that other than that you'll be above them in the hierarchy? But also, whenever he addresses in the epistles the churches, you know, like to the saints which are at Ephesus, the word is hagioi, which is like the same word used in the Septuagint in like Psalms and stuff for all like the angelic beings and, you know, the sons of God and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's that seems pretty there on almost the surface of it, and we just don't like to talk about it.
Yeah, it's the same thing as you not being able to believe you're loved. Like people are they have such a low view of themselves, and you sort of this is where all conspiracy comes from. I'm going to tell you, this is what it is. All conspiracy right here, and it's not that it's not true, but this is what is that people have to have mirages to reinforce the idea that they are small. They have to have mirages to reinforce the idea that they're small. Everything it gives you, like, oh, you're an accident from the Big Bang, nothing matters. Look at the space, it's you're monkeys, the virus, nature's all out to kill you all the time. It's all to make you. It's like, right, I'm little and I can't do. But that is like a protection because God is scary. Because if you connect with God, you're afraid that He will swallow you up. Right? Because it's so much bigger and you will stop existing. And that is the true fear that comes upon you if you get into
that's the
like
true fear
or something. You're like, maybe I'm going to get lost here and I won't find my way back.
Well, that's antimemetics, right? That's like the whole fear persona.
Exactly.
In that book. Yeah.
Well, and I still think there's a lot that is useful in Zen as far as what I can't call anything but technique. Like, I think sitting and staring at the wall like Zazen is actually very good for you. You know?
I think so too. I always fall asleep though.
Yeah.
Every time. I'm not good at it.
I used to do it for hours on end. And I have a lot of parts of my like conversion story that relate back to that. But at any rate, the thing that used to always bug me about it was like the metaphysical stuff, which like Zen, at least in like Soto and stuff, like doesn't really even address it. But like if you look at it, like culturally and historically and stuff, I mean, it imports a lot of like Chinese and Vedantic kind of metaphysical stuff. And like, it always seemed to me, to spite any protestations to the contrary, that the quote unquote goal of all that was to like cease to exist. And like,
yeah, exactly.
I don't want to do that. I never wanted to do that. And I actually don't think anyone will.
Right.
But that's a much longer conversation maybe for another day. That was, you know, there's a certain point at which nirvana or whatever you want to call it, shunyata, is like this terrifying black mass from this book we just read.
Yeah, like like the ultimate goal. Like I heard someone mention this. They said, I always find it funny as a Chinese person who's like been in Buddhism, that Westerners tend to see reincarnation as like a happy thing, where instead of like it's a punishment.
Yeah.
It's a punishment, like you have to do it again. And there is a nihilistic element to Buddhism, although I do respect it as well, because it's not all that.
No.
But like, I don't think the goal is non-existence. Like, but when confronted with an infinite other, it feels like you will be lost in that and swallowed up. And that's the impetus to feel and maintain yourself as small is that.
Well, and here's an interesting like little tidbit, which people may know this, but like, do you know what the only definition in the whole Bible is given for eternal life?
Not offhand. What
it's in John, and Jesus says, "This is eternal life, that they should know you, the one true God, and Jesus Christ whom you have sent." Doesn't say anything about heaven or duration or anything. It's to live eternally, like outside of time, also forever, but like that quality of life. What he's saying is like, if you come to know God intimately, you're not going to cease to exist. It's the opposite of that.
Right. I know. And that it's like being confronted with the ocean.
Yeah.
Sort of. It's like you walk to the ocean, you're like, this is going to devour me. Like that's, and you have to be constantly reassured, like, no, if you go out there, you will actually float.
Yeah. I got to find that Terrence McKenna quote. It's perfect for what you just said.
Yeah, I love McKenna.
Me too, dude.
Yeah,
he was almost there. He was almost there.
He was almost there. He left us too soon.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get Rupert Sheldrake to come on the podcast for ages.
Dude, that would be so sick. There's a cool...
But every time I contact him, he's like, I'm busy with people that have very, very large audiences. And
yeah, that's fair.
He doesn't say that, you know.
There's a book...
To which I tell him, I'm in the process of making a very large audience.
That's right.
You're buying into the
this alpha.
The stock hasn't rocketed yet, and we haven't gone to the moon yet, but we'll soon. You better get in here.
We're going public,
right? We're going public with the podcast.
This is, the
initial podcast offering.
We're not pedantic in this way here. I'm pedantic in other ways, but you can, this is going to sound like some kind of like pantheistic statement, but whatever, you'll understand why I've thought of it, right? So Terrence says, nature loves courage. You make the commitment and nature will respond to that commitment by removing impossible obstacles. Dream the impossible dream and the world will not grind you under, it will lift you up. This is the trick. This is what all these teachers and philosophers who really counted, who really touched the alchemical gold, this is what they understood. This is the shamanic dance in the waterfall. This is how magic is done, by hurling yourself into the abyss and discovering it's a featherbed.
Yeah, jump in the net will appear. That's the thing. If you don't, people are like, there's no net. I know, it doesn't appear till you jump. And you're like, that's crazy.
It makes me think of
what faith is.
The bridge in Indiana Jones' Last Crusade.
Yeah. Yeah. People are like, I'm stuck in this, whatever it is, problem. And it's like, I can't get out. It's like, I know, but if you just leave, it will work out.
You know what's funny too is like, not to get into like questions of fate and stuff, like I believe very much in free will, but I've found, at least personally, if you don't take that leap and yet you are, let's say, devout, I guess, for lack of a better word, he'll actually force it on you.
Yeah.
And it will hurt. It will hurt way more than if you just jumped.
Jesus says that. It's like, don't be like or maybe, I don't remember I think it's Jesus. He said, don't be like a horse that has to be led around by a bit and bridle.
Right.
Just do it, but
it's,
or what, just do it.
What's he say to Paul? It's not good for you to kick against the goads.
Yeah. Like, just look, it's going to have to happen anyway. So you can do it the easy way or the hard way.
Well, and
I want the hard way.
Right. When, he says, when I'm lifted up, I'll draw all peoples to me. The word draw there in Greek is the same one in Acts when Paul's dragged before Agrippa. Like it literally means I'm going to drag everyone into this. And it's like, you can come along or you're getting drugged.
You can come along. Yeah, right. Yeah, man. It's jump in the net will appear is the secret to like life. That's the secret to life. And it's very scary. But you just, whatever the thing is you think you're supposed to be doing, just start doing it.
Yep.
Like, but I gotta do this other thing. Well, don't do it. But everything will go to hell but no, it won't. How do you know? Because it just won't. I don't,
Yeah, it does seem like more people, certainly can't have, can't have been everyone, but like when you read like just history in general, or even like historical fiction, which obviously is stylized and stuff, but like the mentality of like, you know, like what the kids say now, like you can just do things, right? Like people would, you know, they're like, you can't climb that mountain. They're like, fuck you, I can't climb that mountain.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah, there is. I think there are two things happening at once. There's a lot of like negativity happening, but then among those who are choosing the other road, it's really exploding the opposite direction. Yeah, like, so you're talking about climbing the mountain, like Alex Honnold free solo LCAT. That's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, free solo. That's incredible. Like, people in the 1800s have never done that. Like,
I've said to Frank a lot recently, like, can you imagine being bored?
Yeah.
Like, and
I
I mean, I think there's utility in taking time in quiet to like intentionally not be stimulated by stuff, but like I don't know that I would call that bored, but like, dude, you go on, you got to be careful not get lost in the rabbit hole, but like you go on YouTube, and if there's anything you're interested in, there's somebody doing it at a level that you've never seen in human history that you can just watch. And it's like I like dance quite a bit, and like you go and you look up what people are doing in that field now, it's unbelievable.
I know.
You
and it's anything. It's
anything. It's anything.
Like, I saw some people doing tie-dye shirts, and it was like the craziest. He'd like not the craziest designs I've ever seen. You know, like, I was like, how did and he'd like tied the shirt up in like this, like into a like Klein bottle, so that it was it only had two sides, but it was three-dimensional, like a three-dimensional Mobius strip, and then he like tie-dyes it. Like, whoa, what the hell is that?
Well, the other thing, so this is like just a weird random personal aside. Like, do you guys like have things that just stick in your memory that are like only you, like from like just weird, like you remember a line from a movie that no one else remember, not like Mandela effect, but just like it's inconsequential to people. Like it's not a famous line, but like the reason I'm saying this is because whenever these conversations come up, I think of the first Indiana Jones movie and Sala, like the Egyptian guy, when they like go to the map room and he changes the staff length and it shows him where it is, and he looks at Indy and he goes, "They're digging in the wrong place." And I think of that line all the time when these conversations come up about there's no good shit anymore, and like nobody makes art, and it's like they're digging in the wrong place, right? Like because like even painting, right? Like people are looking at what's in these New York galleries, and it's like this kind of, I think modern art's like a money laundering scheme, to be honest. But like it is a lot of junk, right? But then you go and like in the metal world again, like there's people who are doing, there's 3 or 4 Polish artists for whatever reason. And you may not like this stuff. Like it's pretty intense and kind of grotesque, but like technically, like they're doing oil painting and it's incredible. Like,
but there are like a dozen people in like Seattle that can paint technically better than Michelangelo.
Yeah. Yes.
Just provably so. Yeah. You know, they could do what they can reproduce the images of the Sistine Chapel with their eyes closed and do something else. You know, it's like incredible.
Yeah.
And it's people like, there's no eyes. Like, what are you talking about? There, like you were in the country. There are like, there are probably, I don't know, 50 people in Nashville right now that can pick up any stringed instrument in the world and play anything. You know?
Yeah. Oh, well, this is the thing too.
Easy.
Like this is gonna, you know, people who can't parse the sort of nuance between like technical competence and then on the other, not on the other hand, but additionally like things like vision or, you know what I mean? I'm going to get, if people listen this far, I'm going to get comments. Like I'm a better guitar player than Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Technically speaking.
I believe you.
Technically speaking. So are like 1,000 kids playing in tech death bands. They didn't have the influence and won't have the influence on music because there's a confluence of factors that went into Jimi Hendrix.
Right.
But as far as just playing the guitar, like it's no contest, dude. Like I can play everything he could play and more. Now that doesn't make me better than Jimi Hendrix. Like that's an absurd thing to argue. But because they're doing something, I don't want to say more. It's actually difficult to describe when you try to drill it down. Like there's a sort of, you know, hey Frank, you know that French phrase "je ne sais quoi"? There's a certain X factor to it, you know, that's very important, arguably maybe more important than the technical competence. But where you get the real sublime transcendent stuff is people who have like the vision and the tradition and the courage to go against the grain, like coupled with the technique. And then it's like, you know.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. There's more to being I think this is what we've seen with AI art. Is like, okay, you can maybe reproduce a thing, but what's actually what compels people is the soul behind it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Person.
Well,
so some people have a soul that you're attracted to, like Jimi Hendrix, or whatever, even
Yes.
if their technique isn't as good as someone else's.
Did you see that study though, where like they show people the AI images and the hand painted ones, and it was basically
They didn't know.
Yeah, they didn't know the difference. Basically, a crapshoot. But then they surveyed people's emotional reactions, and they felt more moved by the human painted ones, even if they were told it was an AI generated image.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's something else there. I don't know what
Right.
it is. I mean, I think this seems like a new age cop out, but I think at the end of the day, it's energy. Like there's some kind of energetic thing behind it that people can feel.
For lack of a better word, energy. Yeah. There's something you can feel. Yeah. So that's, and I think part of why we don't feel like there's artists anymore is because the monoculture is broken down. So like used to, Jimi Hendrix was like the one guy.
Right.
And now it's like everyone's like looking around, and if you look at popular culture, that has to serve the mean, the reduction to the mean, and so you get like Post Malone,
who seems like a cool as fuck dude, to be honest.
He does, but he's not like
No, he's
not the pinnacle of music.
No, he's not good.
Well, right, but then my favorite band is TWRP. Have you heard of TWRP?
No.
I love them so much. They do some incredible stuff, I think. And it's all like this. They're a whole aesthetic. They're younger guys. Their whole aesthetic is like, we're from Canada, and also the 80s and also the future. And,
dude, I love 80s futuristic stuff. I want to write a whole series in like an alternate 80s that is the future as the 80s saw the future.
Yeah. And it's like a rock metal pop synthesis thing about like, everything they play is like absurdly over the top. Like, I'm 14 and think this is cool. Like, they have a song called Atomic Karate, and it's like, I swing my nunchucks and release 1 trillion newtons, and they're like, it's great. It's fantastic.
Their album
and
art,
like, coupled with tremendous technical skill.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I like stuff like that.
But I think what you just said, Sumo, is pretty insightful about the breakdown of culture. Because I think that's really what people are bemoaning without knowing how to talk about it, is that they can't find like consensus, right, with their broader brothers and sisters.
Well, and I got broken out of that by force. Like not by force. How do I articulate this? Because I actually think this is important for people in terms of developing taste, because I think I have great taste, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason it happened to me is like,
I do too. You read my stuff. You have fantastic taste.
Dude, I love your writing. Actually, part of this whole interaction is me trying not to fangirl about you. Like, I'm very happy you came on. I think you're brilliant, to be honest. But
well, thank you.
When I was a teenager, I live in Arizona. That's not a non really, but I was like the best. I played upright bass, jazz, and I was like the best player in the state, right? Like confirmably so. Like I got full scholarships to Berkeley summer programs. Like I was I was the golden boy, and I was snobby as shit about it. Like if it wasn't jazz, it was trash, right? And I started dating this girl when I was 17 who was a couple years older than me, and all her friends were into metal, and I was like, well, I want to fit in with these guys, so I'm going to try and listen to this stuff. And I remember the record. I still love the record. I went to see it the 10-year anniversary of the album. It's Ashes of the Wake by Lamb of God. It was a great concert. But I started listening to this album on repeat, and I fucking hated it. I was like, I'm not going to this sucks. And so I remember I was playing Tony Hawk and listening to this album on repeat. And one day, like maybe 30 times into the damn thing, I could hear it all of a sudden. I wasn't going like, oh, they're screaming and it's noisy and whatever. I could hear like the harmonic and melodic content of like the riffing and stuff, and the logic made sense to me as a musician, and I was just like, oh, like what they're doing is very good. And then I just went down this rabbit hole, and at the same time I was getting into like pop music, and like Kelly Clarkson's first album came out with like Since You've Been Gone on it and stuff, and I was just like, this fucking rips. And I had to just go like, well, I can either lie and be a jazz snob forever, or I can just admit that I like all this shit and see where that takes me. And I think it made me an excellent musician and gave me a broad but discerning musical taste. And then I should have known this when I got into writing and like fiction and stuff. But I was very snobby about that for a long time. And then my buddy, like, basically bullied me into reading Monster Hunter International by Larry Correia.
Right.
And I was like, this is fucking sick. And then I read Dune pretty quickly after that and went, okay, like, you can do both. Like, you can, and then now that's just, like, Dune is in, like, my top 3 favorite novels of all time, and I could defend it on a lot of grounds, but also, like, it broke me out, like, forcibly of this snobby thing, right? And so, like, I just don't do it anymore. Like, yes, I like Dostoevsky, but, like, I'm not going to be on Substack going, like, you're a fucking cretin if you don't read Dostoevsky and nothing else. It's like, shut up.
Yeah.
You suck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the point of that life story there is just, like, you need to actually be honest about what you like. And that's endearing to people, and it helps you find your crew, and you're not going to find necessarily consensus about that.
No. Yeah. And people can also sense when you're not being honest.
Right.
You know, it's like, so, but to your point, this is a new thing. I'm going to debut it on this show.
All right.
I've been trying to come up with cause I've been wrestling with a problem. There are 2 problems. One is the breakdown of the monoculture. And that's, to what Frank said, I think that's what actually people are wrestling with.
Makes sense.
And they don't know it. And 2 is, okay, how do I try to tell people, like, how do I get people to actually, like, live the jump and the net will appear idea? How do I get them to, like, get into a headspace where they can feel this divine love of God and stuff, you know? And so what I've landed on as a test run, I don't know if this is going to work. At the podcast, I know you guys, I don't know how long you've been listening, but we're going to start having citizenship in the digital micronation. We're trying to make it, issue passports to people. And there's a whole thing, kind of like Sealand. Are you familiar with Sealand? No. Sealand is it's a oil rig in the North Sea that has been self-declared its own nation for a while.
It's awesome.
And is it real? Well, it has de facto reality in that both England and Germany have sent delegates to it, which is interesting. It also defended itself from hostile takeover with armed force one time in the 70s. But I think that we have to actually create a system. Not really a system. It's very hard to describe what I'm trying to do because I don't think anyone's doing it right now. Imagine, if you will, the Knights of Malta. Are you familiar with the Knights of Malta?
Yeah.
No,
so
sorry.
The Knights of Malta issue passports, and they're a country, but they don't have any land. They don't have any land at all. All right, imagine that plus the Navajo plus, like, adult Boy Scouts, where there are things that you have to do.
Yeah.
To be in this. And because I think because I came up with some things of, like, if I had people do, like, these 5 things, and they're kind of hard, I think these things would click for them.
Yeah.
And so this is something I'm going to try to launch on, we've got the websites going. I think this is going to help people. I think it's going to solve the sort of monoculture issue. This is a participatory performance piece.
Yeah.
Maybe is how to say it. A participatory performance piece that we're going to do that I think can actually be transformative for people. It's going to make more sense when it comes out. We're going to see. It's going to be silly. It's going to seem silly, but I'm embracing it.
Yeah, you got to. It's okay to be.
Yeah, because I found, I found that you have to be, like what I podcast in a giant, like, purple helmet thing.
Right.
But I found that, like, you have to, because what I'm trying to tell people ultimately is something that, like, seems so corny because it's said so tritely and people don't hear it. And so you have to shift. It's like, no, actually, no, it is. This love is the thing. And when you get that, it's like, it just blows your mind,
Well, and I vibe with that a lot because I think in the writing I've done so far, there's a very obvious overarching theme, and I don't know if I should state outrightly what it is, but, like, I get what you're saying because it's one of those things. If you come out and you just say it in a sentence, it's like people go, "What do you, whatever," right? But if you embed it into, like, a body of work and art and stories, like, I think then people can, and interestingly enough, I think they can get it and not even know that they get it. Like, they just read it and feel like something click, and they maybe can't, like, repeat it back to you, but, like, they they feel it, which is like what I'm going for.
Yeah, you got to walk the circle to know the center. You got to walk around the circle because you can't get you. The center is there, but people don't want to walk through it for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, there's no story if you walk straight to the center, I guess.
That's true. There's no story if you walk straight to the center.
Were we talking about a book?
I think we were talking about a book.
This whole podcast is just
it's
an
just
excuse to have conversations.
For sure.
That's what we've discovered.
The piece of media is a jumping off point,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like we talked about in bits and pieces here. I mean, I think the theme of this novel actually very much is on point with a lot of what we've been talking about. I mean, it's that the individual, seemingly insignificant human experience is the defense against, massive evil.
Yeah, individual love for another person,
right?
On a one-to-one level is the remedy for all ills.
And I think people, if they're looking at something like scripture or just ideas in general, a lot of, especially for me, the Bible is very kaleidoscopic, and I feel like sometimes people don't want to look at a broader or like non-standard, I don't want to say interpretation, but like looking at it from a different angle, right? Because like the famous thing that he says, "Greater love hath no man than this, that he would lay down his life for his friends," right? You can hear that in a very straightforward way, like like I love my buddies, so I'm going to die for them or whatever, right? But it's also, if love is the thing that like conquers evil, like he's telling you what the highest manifestation of it is. It's not to love the world. It's not to love an idea. It's to like, greater love hath no man than this. And then he tells you what it is.
Yeah. It's not, I love the truth.
Right.
Like,
yeah. It's, I love you.
The truth. It's not an abstract idea.
Right.
Dummy. It's like, that's not what it is.
Well, and also you'll know the truth and it'll set you free. Like, people omit what comes before that, because he says, if you'll hear my, this isn't an exact quote, I don't have it memorized, but he says basically, like, if you hear what I teach and you do it, then you will be my disciples, and then you will know the truth and it will set you free.
Yes. Yeah. Throw your money off a bridge.
Yep.
Throw your money off a bridge. I don't know if you heard me talk about that before the podcast.
Bro, I did it.
Yeah.
When you put a note out about it, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't it feel good?
Yeah.
It feels good. It's like, I'm unattached to it,
Right. Yeah.
And there's because
it's fake. Money is fake. Is fake, fake and gay.
Go do the thing. Walk out and just do the, love your neighbor as yourself. Okay, well, go do that.
Mm-hmm.
Go, okay, you got all these high ideals that maybe your elderly neighbor needs the grass mowed. Do that.
Yeah.
Do whatever it is.
Well, and again, like, not to make it out like we're all like super saintly. Like, I have my.
Oh yeah, I know. I got
my bag of sins and stuff, but like, I found, like, when you do stuff like that, people are like shocked almost by it, and they're like, "Who are you? Like, why are you doing this?" And it's just like, no reason. I mean, there is a reason, of course, but like, I mean, they're so expecting like a quid pro quo. And I actually think that there's a really like dense academic book called Paul and the Gift, and that's about, but the sort of TLDR of it, right, is that like this idea of like the free gift of grace, right, like, is very, very hard for people to comprehend.
Yeah.
Because there's actually no analog to it in human history, basically. Like, in every other like context, the gift incurs an obligation, and people still do that to you, right? Like, they'll give you something, they're like, "How'd you like it?" And you have to like decide if you're going to tell them the truth, or like, "I threw it away," or like,
right.
Because it's not really a gift. It's like, I need the validation, and like, which is fine. I mean, it is actually the thought that counts. So it's like, but it's fascinating to me that there are a lot of very idiosyncratic things about Christianity that I think get lost in the, whole rigmarole of everything.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree more. Getting people to accept, like, this is the thing, the grace is free and you don't have to do anything for it.
Right.
And it doesn't require anything of it. And it doesn't, it's like this huge, people are like, but no, I gotta say the rosary 70 times.
Yeah. Well,
or it won't work, or I got to do whatever. Not that that's bad, but it's like, that doesn't depend on.
Yes. And so here's a quote for you. if you haven't heard it. It's one I love. Like it's like near and dear to me. Like Dallas Willard, who I like a lot. He said, grace is opposed to earning, not effort.
Yeah.
And it's like you think about like in Proverbs, right? It says like the righteous man falls 7 times and rises again, right? It's like you do need to try, right, but that doesn't gain you the thing.
Yeah. Yes. And that's a hard thing to parse, like.
Yeah, it seems, here's the other thing I think. I think we treat Jesus as like a philosopher when he's really like almost doing anti-philosophy a lot of the time. I think a lot of the things that seem paradoxical are only that way until you try to do them. And then you go, oh, this works. And maybe, know, and it's funny too, like this is more, I think maybe on the reformed end of the theological spectrum, but like I've heard people say stuff like the Sermon on the Mount is meant to like bring you to this point of despair where you realize you can't do anything on your own or whatever, like very like passive, I think. And it's like, but he ends it by saying, go do this stuff.
Right.
And if you actually do it, miraculous, I can't any other word for it, stuff happens. You're just like,
right.
You go, and it's like Paul says, like, this is foolishness to those who are perishing, right? It's like, it sounds ridiculous to do, like, pray for those who persecute you. You go, what? Like Hitchens, even one time he was like, this is insane. He's like, you're supposed to hate your enemies. But if you try not to, like, some really interesting stuff happens. So try it.
Right. Yeah. It's orthopraxy beats orthodoxy every time, every single time. Doing it. You can't understand it unless you do it, I don't think. And I think a lot of the problems, if I could improve, I think church in general would improve if we burned every theology book that's ever been written. Honestly, in a lot of cases. I mean, just because it's so in your head. It's just so in your head,
Well,
it's Onan the librarian.
Yeah.
It's Onan the librarian. Right.
Yeah.
My take on theology, because I kind of rather enjoy it, but Frank claims I'm autistic, but I don't know. Everybody is now. It's very fashionable to be autistic. So, like, when he says, like, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, I feel like theology done for the enjoyment of it has value, but I don't trot it out in front of people, really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As an art form, it's wonderful. It's like this is science.
Well, and I think it's a way, like I've said this before, because I remember being in that Bible study I was talking about earlier, and I was going off on something about Greek, and like the old heads were like, wow, like you're this young guy and you know all this stuff and whatever. And I'm like, no, dude, I don't care about any of that. Like, you're kind to me. Like, we're cool, like it's not. And the thing I said about it is like, what's cool about faith and like the gospel and stuff is you can explain it to like a simpleton. And yet, if you are kind of like far right of the bell curve egghead, like you can dig into it forever. Like you're never going to run out of stuff to think about if you like to think. But also, be careful because you need a little sun and steel too.
You do. You have to. Yeah, for sure.
It's getting late.
Yeah, that was fun though, man.
It's fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too.
Thanks for coming on, dude.
I did want to ask like one last thing on the book, and then we can wrap it.
Okay.
I really liked Sunshine as Sunshine's kind of like the hero of the book, Loki, the anti-memetic creature that helps Quinn. Right. It like stores all of her memories and it kind of like manipulates her into even letting go of Adam. So I don't know. Is that a bad read?
I don't think so.
I think the version that I read did not call it Sunshine. So I'm not. Is it the entity?
Yeah, that follows the director around.
Okay. Yeah. No, I agree with you. Yes, I think that's a good read on it.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost like a guardian angel character.
Right. And it's almost smarter than like just an anti-meme that eats things. Like
I think
it's presented as almost having ulterior, as having motive.
Well, I think it's significant that its manifestation is light, and like we don't have to dig super far into that, but like
it's a good point.
Like energetically, right? Like it's very hard to talk about this stuff, especially because I don't have any physics background. But like, I think it is very important that like God is called the Father of lights. And like this representation of like when Jesus comes down off of the Mount of Transfiguration or when he's up there, I guess, like he's glowing. Or like when Moses comes down off of Sinai, like they have to put a lampshade on his head because his face is shining.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
end of the day, like matter is kind of light.
Yeah. No, that's pretty interesting. I didn't connect the dots between its manifestation being light. That kind of adds another layer.
And
I think it's like a angelic character that yes, it eats information, but it does so for a purpose. Like they mentioned in the novel, like there are sometimes you really need to forget something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And and like actually forgetting things is like the main purpose probably of consciousness.
Right.
Because it's like a filter. Like there's so much data.
Yes.
All the time, all the little sounds, the feeling of your clothes on your skin, the hairs in your nose. If you were aware of all of it all the time, you'd like. Dude, and some people are like that. Is like a severely autistic person.
Nietzsche,
like that's what's bothering them. Like they're aware of everything all the time. Like they're just shut down.
Nietzsche literally speaks of this.
Yeah.
Well, he talks about that with leaves and stuff like that. Like if you could perceive the individuality of like every leaf, like your head would basically explode. I mean, he says it in like fancy German words. But when she takes was like the class Z or class Y in domestic.
Ich muss den Baum verkauft or whatever.
She
I think I said I must have bought the tree or sell the tree. But that's not what I'm trying anyway.
When she takes
I have to sell the tree is not what he said.
I do love, like, dude, I know this is like not cool for a Christian, but I do love, I got a soft spot for Nietzsche because when I was a dumb atheist, I read all his shit and like,
no, a controversial take I have is that Nietzsche is actually very devoted to Jesus.
Dude.
I've said that forever.
Dude.
He is trying to understand, and he's trying to find a way to love Jesus in spite of a Christian religion, which is twisting that for him.
Dude, you're like my spirit animal. That we should do something on that someday. Because I totally agree. I totally agree.
Nietzsche is trying to figure out a way that he can relate to Jesus in a way that makes sense to him and not all the Christianity around him at the time, which is going crazy.
Yeah. Well, and I like, dude, people love to like straw man the whole like God is dead quote. And it's like you're outing yourself immediately that you haven't read Zarathustra, because what the crazy guy running into town says is like, God is dead and we have killed him. And then he basically goes like Macbeth on it. Like, that what could, rather than wash the blood, it would incarnating the sea and stuff. Right. It's like,
right.
He's not happy about it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly.
But yeah, but like in the book, when I forget what she's called in the OG version, but the director, her last name's Quinn in the Trad Pub one, when she takes the what are they called? Nestic, the drug.
Yeah.
That's what it does. And it kills her because she remembers everything.
Yeah.
And then the main purpose of like your conscious awareness is probably just a filtration device to filter out important data from unimportant data.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I think biologically that's true. Like the reticular activating system and like.
Right.
Well, that's why they say as you get older, it seems like time passes more quickly. And it's because, when you're a kid in your adolescence, that's the first time you're experiencing everything. So those memories matter more. Whereas, after you pass 20, 25, those everyday moments just get immediately filtered out. And so that like affects your perception of time passing, because you're just the moments mean less to you.
Well, I also think
they immediately get filtered out.
I think Yoshi and I had a little back and forth on notes about this. I made a comment, I actually think it's a grace that you can lie to yourself, which sounds weird, but it's like I think part of what's happening in like the gospel narrative is that like if you could actually see how corrupt you are, like it would break you. And so there's a kind of obscuration that goes on, which is not like it doesn't justify that, but it's like the only person that can deal with how messed up you are is actually God.
Right. And Frank, I will just say that in my experience, I used to think that too, but what I found is that time what actually cures that feeling of time speeding up is just being unemployed. if you're just unemployed, it's like, wow, I have a lot of time, and then it's just like,
That's the dream. That's the dream, dude.
You're like, not wrong,
dude.
It's like what it is people go to work all day and they do the same thing,
Frank.
And that seems like you forget if you just don't go to work anymore. It's like amazing.
Did you see Sumo's note about the fertility crisis?
Maybe.
Yeah,
dude. He goes, I don't know. It's like the fertility crisis is because you guys are all going to work all day, and he's like, nobody wants to fuck you if you have to ask HR for an extra half-hour lunch.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, it's true. I said, unironically, part of the fertility crisis is that all you guys are working / employed. It's not sexy to have to ask the HR lady if you can have an extra half-hour lunch break.
Yeah, literally the only way you're gonna fix it is if one person can go to work and the other person can stay home. Like, women have to stop working, basically.
or look, in old Germanic tribes before in pagan times, the men just sat around all day.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
You could maybe if the women want to work so bad, go for it. It's gonna be hey,
and we will smoke cigars on the porch, and
it's whatever.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
I think, but really though, a large part of it is one, people are people got to do what they got to do, I guess, but also you don't really. That's the thing. If you jump the net, will appear. People feel resentful because they're doing a lot of
bullshit,
and also, the modern working culture is very oppressive for the certain kind of person. For a certain kind of person, it's like, the micromanaging and all this stuff. I had 7 emails today from people complaining to me about the FDA, and I ignored them all. It's like, I don't, they were like, the thing you did, the FDA is like, I was like, whatever, it's going to be fine because, it's all okay.
Dude,
it's always,
you know who Jack Donovan is?
Oh yeah. I had Jack Donovan on the show once.
Did you? Sick. I'll have to find that episode. So Jack, I like him a lot. I think he's written some cool shit.
I do
kind of laugh at what I consider his Thor LARPing in the woods, but at the same time, he had this great article years ago where it was something about I don't care, the 3 most powerful words you can learn or something like that, and it was I don't care. Yeah. It was like people come in there, what about everybody starving over here in the scene? He goes, I don't care. I'm like, what about this? I don't care. And people short circuit, dude. They're like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like I loved that, and I adopted the best I can. It's like,
I'm a Jack Donovan fan. He's the best. He's the straightest gay theater kid that's ever been.
That's an incredible description.
He's the straightest gay theater kid that's ever lived.
Yeah.
And I remember when he first got outed as gay. I've been following him for a long time, and it was weird because it was like the manosphere was like being very, they were coming to, and they're like, well, what are we gonna do? One of our main guys is like a gay guy.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, or not really, they were just like, whatever. Well, and they kept rolling with it.
Yeah, a lot of those guys are. Greg Johnson is like,
it's like, that was it. Then they had a collective realization, like, oh, wait a minute, we're all having problems with women because we are all gay. Right, I got it. That's what happened with the manosphere. They're like, oh, right, we're a bunch of gay guys. That's the issue here.
Yeah, it was like a Republican National Convention.
It was like a Republican National Convention. Yeah, they're like, oh, right, everyone here is gay. That makes it so much more sense. And then the left has the problem.
Crashing.
The left has the problem where they want to be gay, but they're straight.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, dude, man, I wish we could be.
My whole family's asleep.
Gay, but we're all straight and heterosexual. Oh, that's the leftist part.
My whole family's sleeping. I'm trying not to just laugh hysterically. This is so funny. That's cool that you had Jack on. I'll have to find that episode.
Yeah, it was a while ago. I've interacted with Jack a few times. Nice guy, really nice guy.
Well, yeah, and that's
he's very. If you have him on the podcast, he's like, listen, don't bring up the time I was in a white nationalist gang. Okay, I will not bring up the time you were in a white or whatever.
He is. I saw.
And he's like, and then he goes, and don't bring up the time I was with the arson. I'm like, okay, I won't bring up the arson. And then it's like all this stuff is like, right, got it. Interesting guy though,
Well, yeah, and his books are
live the life.
His books are so The Way of Men was the one that blew him up, but prior to that,
yeah.
he wrote to, like, and this is the thing with me, man, I'll read anything. Like, he had a book about homosexuality called Androphilia, and it's worth reading. I mean, like, even if you're straight, like, it's fascinating because Jack's whole thing is he's like, yeah, I'm gay, but like, I'm attracted to men, not an effeminate male, right? Like, so it's this,
right?
And he goes through a lot of like historical stuff about that, and then he has a book about blood brotherhood, which was really interesting. It's just like a history book of like blood pacts, which is cool.
It's more, it's a little bit more honest than some of the other masculine LARPing, where it's just like, all right, why are we posting like pictures of shirtless guys with hairy chests? Can we just
Tom Selleck?
Yeah, shouldn't it?
Yeah, like,
wait a minute. Really about like for men,
minute.
Shouldn't there be more tits on this page? Let's like mustache.
Wait a minute. Yeah, it's like like Bronze Age pervert, you know?
No, those are icky.
Like but I think he's even like, he's like, I think everyone on the right wing is gay. They're all gay. Nick Fuentes, Milo, Christy Noam's husband now, I guess.
No one saw that coming.
Graham, everyone. They're all, every single one of them.
Yeah. That's so funny.
You know, and there are no gay people in the Democratic Party. That's the secret. They all want to be, but they're not.
Yeah, I mean, you have Gavin Newsom out here, just like the most viral man on earth.
Or Pete Buttigieg. How great is it that his name is Booty Judge?
The video of E. Michael Jones talking about him because he's the mayor of wherever, South Bend, Indiana, or something. God, it's funny. I'm not going to repeat it on this show because I'll get canceled. But it's
100%. I think Mayor Pete married a man just for the political optics. I don't believe he's actually attracted to. I think he's secretly. I think he's a closeted straight guy.
That would be the coolest.
That's hilarious.
This is the coolest romance novel conceit I've thought. Like, dude, you do like this, the fake relationship trope, but like the dude who's in love with the girl is married to another guy for political reasons. And then he has to, I love this. It's genius.
I 100% think that's true. I think he's probably had sex with his husband and hated it. Truly. Like, I've seen how they interact with each other. I think he's like, I'm going to be president or something off this. This is my thing. The only reason anyone talks about him is because he's gay. He has no other. True. He's a straight white. If he was a straight white guy, he'd be like, what? You're not a Muslim. What's your problem? So he's like, funny. I can't pull off being a Navajo. You know,
the tablet
Elizabeth Warren. So I can be gay though. And so he's like, well, maybe I'll do that. I 100% think he is a closeted straight man.
The first scandal of his presidency is he's like photographed inside of Hooters.
Yes. he's caught having sex with a woman. It's like, oh.
Gosh, dude, that's so funny. Like, subvert all those tropes. Like,
yeah. No, I think the thing is, I think it's true for Pete.
That'd be so funny.
That's fun.
I like it.
He was like, guys, my name is already Booty Judge. I should lean into it.
It was easy to workshop.
Yeah.
It was easy to workshop. Yeah.
Writes itself.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of like, David Bowie did that. He led the media on to thinking he was gay for years. And he was like, he coined the term closeted heterosexual. He was like, actually, no, it turns out I'm not gay. I only wanted to be.
It makes me think of that Norm bit on Larry King. I'm a deeply closeted homosexual. You're gay? Whoa, who said that, Larry?
Who said that? Yeah.
Who said I'm deeply closeted?
Yeah.
Dude, no.
For sure. I think Democrats support the gays and the Republicans are gay. And that is the yin and the yang of American politics.
That's so funny.
The Republicans want to be white nationalists and the Democrats actually are white. This is how it goes all the time. Like, the Republicans are full of like Mexicans. It's like
this is too funny.
And it's like if you go to a Republican convention, it's like everyone there is named Jose, and
dude,
the Democrats are like, I'm John Normalson. Hello,
John.
Yeah, I'm descended from Mayflower Puritans.
Yeah, I'm descended from the Mayflower Puritans. Yeah,
bro. I tell you what, just generally appreciate you coming on, but something Frank and I have been talking about forever is like nobody has fun anymore. And part of the point of this show and like just everything we're doing, it's like, I haven't laughed like this in quite a bit, man. Like, it's cool, dude. Like, just, I don't know why people don't want to have fun. Like, they're so serious.
Yeah. They are so serious, but girls just want to have fun.
That's right.
Yeah. It's pretty bleak.
So do sumos.
Yeah.
And, and I think that's really, I think you have to learn to, I think that is a moral mission to learn to have fun.
Yeah.
Like, you have this wonderful world all around you, and you're like, me.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? Like, like, what are you doing?
There's no new Cormac.
Yeah.
There's no man.
Well, that's like the whole, I don't know if I should call her out by name. I don't want to deal with the drama, but certain somebody who's whining about not being published and yet courting Penguin now. And her whole sob story is like, everybody's so mean to me and they hate me because I'm successful and a woman and all this stuff. It's like, no, we don't like you because you're being a jerk. You're a snob.
Yeah.
You're a snob.
I don't actually know who you're talking about. They sound snobby.
Yeah. Dude,
I'm gonna side with you just out of friendship. I don't know.
Her initials are Liza Lie.
I'm gonna be the Lindsay Lohan to your blonde girl, whatever. We're just gonna mean girl her.
Yeah,
I don't know
perfect.
I honestly think she's doing performance art.
If she is, it is S tier trolling. It is the best troll account of all time. If it is,
well, dude. She had that whole fucking "I'm not getting published because I'm Jewish" bit.
Yeah,
like a year ago. Like people chimped because it's just like.
That's such an absurd claim.
Yeah.
I can't get a TV show because my last name is Hebrewberg.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, dude.
No one's ever put a Jew on TV.
Yeah, like she has to be a 4chan poster.
Yeah.
That's so funny. But yeah, I mean, her whole, like, in a nutshell, her whole shtick is like talking down to people because they don't read Dostoevsky as if she discovered him. And it's like, it's so tiresome.
I know.
It's so tiresome. And the thing that drives me nuts is like the sort of like, what's the word I want? Like, not polemical, but like, contrarian. Like, the contrarian streak of me is like getting to a point with all this shit where it's like, I don't even want to say I like Dostoevsky and Lewis and Tolkien. And so I'm just like, I'm so tired of hearing about it.
I struggle with that too. I'll say something for years and then other people start to believe it. And I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
No, I was wrong the whole time. No, I struggle with that too. But I've kept that in check. If I think something is true, I continue with it, even if it's popular.
Yep.
Even if it becomes popular, which is so hard. But
the moment the right wing, the moment the right wing is ascendant, I'm like, maybe I should go back to being a hippie.
Here's the problem: is that this is the problem: is that anytime something is ascendant, it sort of by definition has the majority, and the majority kind of sucks. And they take the worst elements of anything, and that's what they glom onto invariably. And so then everything that you were like excited about the thing, it's like when Dungeons and Dragons got popular. It's like, well, now this sucks because you guys don't really understand how to make a story, and it really actually isn't that important to the role playing if the orc is gay. That doesn't have to be the main thing. But now apparently, that's what happens anytime something is popular. It's like gets kind of terribilized just by reduction to the mean. So you have to resist that if it's something like okay, but yes, still that they're saying is vaguely true, even though they're doing it in the worst way possible.
The most obvious one for me lately. There's a subgenre called deathcore that like true metalheads hate, but there's some really cool shit. There's a band called Lorna Shore that I've been following. They're from New Jersey, I think, but like I used to go see them in dive bars here for $10 when their first record came out and like drink with the guys. Not that they would remember me, like we're not friends, but like, just hanging out at a show. And they've turned into a stadium act now. They're very famous. And I still really like their music, but like everybody who was like in the indie scene when they were starting out is just like, oh, they fucking sold out. It's like, no, they got consistently better over a decade and they're being rewarded for it, actually.
Yeah. That's it. It's a crabs in a bucket thing of like, oh, you're only authentic if you're terrible.
Right.
Well, I don't know. You could probably be authentic and good.
Yeah, 100%.
My favorite metal band is Nano of Steel.
What is it?
Nano War of Steel. It's a parody metal band of
Manowar.
Yeah, Nano War of Steel. And they do. My favorite one is Norwegian reggaeton. Great, it's fantastic.
I'll look it up.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
There's a parody power metal band. I forget the name of. That's really cool. They're fun.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
I'm about to go listen to Atomic Karate. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, that one and Starlight Brigade. Starlight. Look up the YouTube video because they did a full 3-minute, like basically anime or 80s Saturday morning cartoon to accompany
That's sick.
this
fuck
Starlight Brigade. And you watch it, you're like, this should be a whole series. Why isn't this whole? I've been captivated by this thing.
Nobody makes anything good anymore. Well, dude, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
If you don't,
thanks for having me. Everyone go buy Frank's book, Plural, and Brady's stuff. Do you have books?
Yeah, I got one that came out, I don't know, Frank, when did it come out? 3 weeks ago. Mine's called
Excellent.
My Sweet Esmeralda. Frank's got a book coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Beautiful. Go buy Brady's books. Allegedly, I have maybe 3 books coming out this year. I don't know.
Excellent. Well, you have...
I paid a friend, I said, go through everything I've written on Substack and turn it into published stuff.
Sick.
I said, organize it together, because I'm not going to do that, obviously.
Well,
go through it and put it together in like a reasonable format. And I said, make it into a book. And he said, this is maybe 3 books, maybe 4. I was like, okay, just whatever. That's
Insta buy.
Yeah.
But we'll link it in the show notes. But Holy is He Who Wrestles, and then the Map Sock podcast. That's Yoshi's stuff.
mapsock.org. Everyone go and participate.
Soon to be Yoshi Nation, right?
Yeah.
Well, we haven't settled on the name of the micronation yet, but we are going
Sumo Stan.
We will seek. I will soon start seeking recognition from C Nation and the nation of Lesotho, which is encompassed by South Africa. Because I feel like going for people that aren't like if I tried to get China to recognize me off the bat, that's kind of hard. Yeah. But maybe
you get invaded.
People that are still herding sheep.
Yeah. China might loan you money to build a bridge though that goes nowhere.
Well, I did a whole episode on the bridge to Hawaii. If I'm ever president, that's the goal. Bridge to Hawaii.
You can drive.
That is actually a very American goal.
I know. It would. Everyone get together, do something, think of the jobs. Think of the jobs of building, But anyway, I don't want to keep talking. I know we're trying to write it down.
I mean, It was a blast, man.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Appreciate it. See ya.
Peace out.